We could even ask them, that's the 6:30. I got nothing time for that. I already have a. Oh, wow.
Hold on, I gotta mute.
This is wow. You had me in here. All right, how we doing? Audio sounds fine now. Good evening. I'd like to welcome and call to order the City Council's work study session for Tuesday, October 21st. And I'd also like to remind us of our guiding principles in the actions that we're about to take this evening. Are we raising the bar in all of our actions? Are we honoring the past but not living in the past? Are we building positive connections with our community and outside partners? And is the decision-making process building a diverse, equitable, and inclusive community? Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I've got a couple things before we jump into our agenda, I'd like to after yours. Yeah, I know many of us knew Beck Ashby, and she was a planning commissioner 3 different times, a multi-term city council member, and she's been battling cancer here for the last couple of years, and unfortunately she lost that battle on Thursday. Her service is on November 1st at Real Chapel, 1 p.m. And I'd like to maybe offer a moment of silence in honor of that. We'll see you guys at the service to honor Beck. If you can't make it, I understand.
When did I apologize?
1 p.m. on November 1st. Real Chapel. I have to say, I have fond memories of Beck. I've never met anybody who's been more prepared for every meeting, read every detail, knew her stuff. And if she said, "Mr. Mayor, I don't agree with you," I'd listen. I didn't always agree with her, but she had strong opinions and good ideas, and I had the utmost respect for her. She was a phenomenal woman, and it's a pleasure to have the honor to serve. So,
If I could add something for the council that may not know, after she left, she had time to serve on the regional transportation planning organization, which was kind of the umbrella for the various counties on the peninsula, and that was very magnanimous of her to take that on, even though she wasn't on the council. We were able to do an internal rep. So that was just the kind of person she was, and she was a mentor to me when I joined the council because I sat next to her, and she was meticulous. I don't know how many Scribner errors she got, Brandy, but she was amazing on that. Yep.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyway.
I just want to add the counterpoint that a lot of people didn't see her sense of humor. We had a situation where we had to appoint the council member, and it was the seat that eventually went to Scott Keener, but it was a very close discussion because there were many really good candidates, and there were 2 in particular that we really liked. One of those was Scott. And she actually made the comment, you know, which one of us council members wants to resign so we can take 2 of these applicants? And she just had a funny way of seeing things and just wanted.
Well, thank you for sharing those stories. I talked to a couple of folks, particularly on the finance committee. We have 2 minutes before Noah jumps into his budget presentation, because this could affect the budget if you chose one of the alternatives. So there, our Marina Pump Station project is nearing completion, and when those new pumps kick on, it is recommended that we put air relief valves in the pipe going to Annapolis. We've got a mile of pipe. We've got one that we installed near Cloyce and Mike's, and there's another one needing just short of Annapolis. And so when that pump kicks on and the pipe has all that air into it, if it's not able to release, then it's hitting the joints on the pipe somewhat like a hammer, and it's not good for the life expectancy for our very expensive pipe in the ground. And it's also not good for the pumps, the new pumps. And so the engineers are recommending, unfortunately, it's nearly $200,000 to add this air relief mechanism to and we can do it one of 2 ways. I know you guys are sensitive to change orders, but the most efficient way to do it is to issue the mobilized contractor here the ability, because it's somewhat related to this project, via that pipe, I guess, to issue that change order. It would come out of the contingency funds in the project, which are sewer capital dollars. If you didn't want to do it that way, we would need to add it into this budget that we're discussing this evening. It would still come out of the sewer capital project budget, but we would then need to go do a separate bid process to get attention. It would likely be a different contractor that would need to be mobilized, and we think that would cost us more money than just our engineers have reviewed the proposal, and they feel that it's a fair price for what the work that they're going to do. So if anybody's have any objections, I'd like to tell Dennis and his team to go ahead with the change order proposal. And then you guys, in a future council meeting, would need to approve that change order to do that work. So, Jay.
I strongly recommend we go with option A, mainly because mobilized on site, get the work done faster. And, before we, as we light it off, and this is something we don't want to mess with, but we had that at the Manchester Fuel Depot when we get slugs. And if you don't get those handled right, they can demolish pipe fairly quickly.
Yeah, I want to go with A as well for a few reasons. If you don't know what like an air vac is, just imagine your body. There's a reason that you release air out of aspects of your body because it's painful, and same thing as a sewer system. I want to use the same contractor because I don't want a contractor to build that lift station. It's under warranty, all that jazz, and then we have somebody else's hands on it while we're doing the air vac. Because you have the hot tap it. There's a lot that goes into it. That's why it's $200,000. But I don't want someone else's hands on somebody else's equipment while it's still being warranted. So that's
a good point. And the
Less, and less expensive.
yes, likely yes.
Proposition A, time, knowledge of the contractor that's been on site at this point, expediency of getting it done, and less wear and tear on those pipes. With that hammer sense, assuming we can get it done. Makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
There was just one question I didn't ask earlier. Is there a possibility that they could come cheaper if we did go to bid?
We wouldn't know until we went to it.
I guess, what is the likelihood that, how do we feel? I mean, I know we wouldn't know, but
I'm gonna defer to
so
Dennis.
I'm just curious, because again, I had no idea what 200,000.
So this dollar amount is also including a few of the loose ends that we're just wrapping up this project, so it's not all for the air vacs. So some of this, so these are replacing the existing air vacs, which aren't 50 years old. and they're not working like they're supposed to. So it is precision. The problem is you could get a cheaper contractor, but you don't want the cheap contractor.
Okay. No,
This is
I'm
the,
just curious, like.
we're gonna be up all night long losing
It's on
sleep.
the tab.
This is like precision surgery.
I'm all, I had already said I'm all for Proposition A, I didn't ask that question earlier and it would be, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask it.
Is it just one air vac or is there a couple
There's two.
that goes throughout the pipe?
Yeah, one has already been done. That was the easy low hanging fruit that we did earlier in the project, which was a previous change order. And this is the two other ones. So one of them's down by Whiskey Gulch that we went out and tried to do. We couldn't evacuate the sewage out of the line because these things aren't made to be replaced. So yeah.
But the pipe's 50 years old, so we need to replace it. And we want another 30 or 40 years out of the pipe if we can get it.
Our engineer was anticipating that if we did go out for bid, we'd probably get a price of 300,000. So
Answer, thank you.
All right, my last thing before we dive into the budget, I'm disappointed in the county. I gave them a draft lease that Charlie drafted for the Prospects Street building. They've had it since July. 3 weeks ago, they finally asked for, after I've been bugging Tori and others, where's this thing at? The civil division of the county has it. 3 weeks ago, they finally did ask for a Word version so they could redline it. The rub is I'm pretty confident. They're telling me they want to renew the lease. And the terms on that lease are 3 years and mirroring what we're leasing across the street, the Greenwood building. They've put me in an uncomfortable place though, because we're up against, I had to send the certified letter today to exercise our option on the Greenwood building for our renewal of the 3-year lease. So the county doesn't have a similar provision because their lease is at maturity. So I hope they don't walk. They don't have any place else to go. It's just a little bit frustrating. So I'm just sharing with you. I do believe though, so we've got these 2 leases coming due in 3 years. In the next 2 years from now, we need to have a discussion about, and it just depends if we continue growing the way we're growing, we could become, it would be a great efficiency to have, that building's quite a bit bigger than anything we're leasing or what we have at over on Prospect Street. And to have your people in one place is more efficient than spread 3 different sites. But it's really nice, the $6,000 a month we're getting for the delta between what we're leasing and what we're leasing to them. But so we just need to have some conversation in a couple of years before, probably a year out from that lease coming due. What do our space needs look like, and does it? And just like the building we just bought, that building is a secure facility over there, the child support building. It doesn't have any customer service wall counters. It's got a fortress of a wall when you walk into the lobby. That'll need to be remodeled. It's an old building and it's never cheap to do. So, I can easily expect $100,000 to $150,000 to make it, to remodel that lobby area to suit our needs to serve customers as we come in. But
Is there a provision in this lease that you're about to re-sign that says we can sell that?
I don't believe there is, but I'm mirroring a 3-year lease and a 3-year lease.
Well,
Yeah, provided.
but if they don't,
Yeah, and Keith actually the owner approached me. The law firm would actually like the space.
so
So if we really needed to get out of there, I'm pretty certain that he's got a tenant, because he approached me about, hey, I know you've got a renewal option. Are you gonna renew? And I said, yeah. He goes, okay, all right. And so anyway, so at least 3 or 4 months ago, he had somebody that wanted that space, and obviously they would have paid more than we're paying. So.
When you said the lobby for people to pay their bills, don't they just pay it here?
No, I'm referring to the building. It's not to pay bills. It's a customer service counter. So we would likely be moving the planners and the engineers there, and they have customer interaction at times. People come in, walk in with a plan set, and there's just, the lobby isn't set up that way. It's a secure building, the child support building. So it would need that front customer, and inevitably, the IT infrastructure won't be what we need it to be, and there'll be things we'll need to do to make it conducive to our needs. Yeah, but that's a future conversation. I'm just,
Somebody put that on their phone, you know, for, to come
Yeah.
up in about 18 months.
yeah, it'll be time to talk about it. So that's all I've got. It's time to dive into Noah's budget presentation and a public hearing, and we got a lot to cover tonight. Go ahead, Noah.
Okay, I'll jump right in. So tonight again, you got to plan the public hearing on for 25-26 process. I'm just gonna read the summary background for the official record. As established by RCW 35A 34-130, a mid-biennial review of the biennial budget is required. This review shall occur no sooner than 8 months after the start of the biennium, which is September 1st, and no later than the close of the fiscal year, December 31st. The Finance Department has consulted and reviewed possible modifications to the biennial budget with policy departments and the mayor. Finance Committee has met and reviewed proposed modifications to the budget prior to this council work study. The city focused on its criteria for mid-year modifications to 3 things: corrections required, and large capital budgetary impacts. So at a high level, I just want to kind of go through what's on the staff report. The budget amendment includes what we would call cleanup items. Those are actions that the city council and staff have taken throughout the 2025 fiscal year. And those cleanup items amount to roughly $500,000 of additional expenditure authority. New expenditure requests total roughly $6.5 million, and we'll go through all this tonight. We have tested the finance policies against these adjustments and the proposed amendments, and the working capital targets are budgeted to be met, as well as the stabilization targets are to be met, so no additional funding for those financial policies. We'll come back to new personnel and vehicles, but the total of $1.8 million is being sought for additional personnel and vehicles. And then we have some revenue adjustments to help pay for some of the stuff, as well as kind of true up revenue forecasts. So I want to start by first turning your page 1. So I got these numbers, so we got a lot of pages to go through this. So first I want to just cover, and I have this on, oh wait, I should share my screen. Share the screen for the public. Yeah, there we go.
I know.
It's okay.
I know. Put it. I know it.
Yeah, sorry, Fred. Got it, and I missed it again. But, so, all right. So before you have the calendar of events, so again, we talked about this, I think in June or July, and set out the expectations for the schedule. But in September, departments will provide budget status reports. We'll review their budgets and provided their requests to the finance department. We have met the mayor, consulted, and developed, drafted our proposed amendments for the biennial budget amendments. On October 14th, the Council Finance Committee met, kind of walked through everything, and I recommended that the council kind of review that last meeting we had with video recording. We held our public hearing on revenue sources, and that hearing will lead to the property tax levy setting process for 2026. So tonight we have the work study session. We will hold the public hearing after the presentation and discussion. And then next week, we intend to adopt the property tax levy for 2026, as well as the mid-biennial budget amendments. So that's the agenda for tonight and next week, and what we're looking to accomplish.
You want us to hold questions?
No, I mean, if you have a question on the schedule, if it's further down.
We're gonna dive into the
Wait for
budget
the
itself.
That's not the budget.
Okay, go ahead.
That's, you stated that the department heads, and the mayor went through, made the budget. Did you include all the things that we originally did during our retreat for the biennial
Yes.
budget?
Yeah, remember we had this is the mid-biennial review.
Correct.
Okay, and so we had items that got funded and didn't get funded in that mid-biennial review. And that stuff came into the overall process.
So you went through that again?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we
Yes.
maintain the list, I would be considered, and we did bring that into the process. So I'll point out a couple of times.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to think.
And virtually everything got funded. So we're in good shape.
Thanks.
Yeah, you ready for me?
Oh, no, I know you said it. What's the percentage of, gonna be our 2026 property tax levy collection? What percentage is that?
When you're talking about we statutorily can take 1%, but unfortunately this year we aren't able to take 1%.
Fortunately,
So it's just,
It'll be, yeah, so when I bring the ordinance for next week, it'll say we are at $0 increase and 0% increase.
okay.
Other than-
We're having a
other
hard
than
time
new construction.
getting that. So it'll just be zero, okay?
A 0 increase.
Other
The
than-
property
Zero.
tax is not
Other than
zero.
new construction, as the mayor said.
Yeah.
There is new revenue coming forward from new construction.
Mhm.
So of all the new homes that have been built and commercial properties that have been built.
Kind of separate away.
The impact on us, that was 0%.
Well, except if your house assessment goes up.
Yeah.
So don't forget that.
It's
Your
very,
value
it's
is-
very complicated.
That's not on us.
I know, but I'm just saying, so I don't wanna say,
I'm telling her, you know, that's not, we don't assess it.
Okay,
We don't assess that.
okay.
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure that's clear and other people
That's
get
fair.
that too.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
So I'd like to give you guys kind of some background on how we got to where we are here tonight. You know, Noah and I and staff have been working for a couple of months now. So the proposed budget that we're about to present provides additional funding from one-time revenue. And this will primarily derived from interest earnings and overperformance in the 2025 revenue, mostly from building activity. Sales tax growth in 2025 has been relatively flat, and there is some uncertainty regarding the economic outlook. We recognize that one-time revenues are not sustainable to fund future operations needs and are ideally are better suited for one-time expenditures. One-time revenues in this proposed budget are roughly $3 million. Some of this revenue is needed to cover increased operational costs like our animal control contract, increases to our insurance premiums, and true up actual costs from the projections when we started the budget process at the beginning of 2025. The largest expenditure in this proposed budget is to fully fund the Great Bay Street reconstruction project with local dollars, with the exception of $2 million in the KRCC competitive process. I believe the reconstruction of Bay Street should be our highest priority in 2026 because without this investment, the community center and any other redevelopment downtown can't move forward without proper infrastructure or with a roadway that floods every November. That project's $11 million and no developer is going to build that for us. We've got to really invest in ourselves. We have a $1 million award from the state legislature that hasn't been obligated yet, and a $3 million award that is tied up in the federal budget process that may have conditions that we're unable to meet. 400,000 of the 11 million needed for the Bay Street project will come from our general fund to pay for the new water main and the roadway because our water fund doesn't have sufficient balances to cover this obligation. Once the $1 million in state funding has been obligated, we plan to claw back our dollars out of this project and with those funds likely being needed in the fall of this next year to complete the design of the water project. We'll get to 60% in the fall, and I don't think we want to wait till our next budget process to restart that. We're going to want to when we get to that 60%, earmark these dollars that we claw back and keep that project moving. But that'll be the council's decision at that moment in time when it comes. This proposed budget also funds numerous staff positions in nearly all departments. These increases in staff are needed to improve service levels in our rapidly growing city. Any position that is being funded with one-time revenue in the general fund added set aside of salary and benefits for 3 years to insulate us from an economic downturn. Noah will discuss each of these new requests in his presentations. And if you have any questions before, I mean, if you want to know any questions about what I stated here before Noah jumps into his presentation.
Do we have that, what you just presented, something, where is that?
No, this is just my prepared remarks.
The statement.
It's just a statement.
It's nice though, on the breakdown of how you think, I mean, to do the roads versus how much that road's gonna cost,
Mhm.
and just to have it.
Yeah, it's in this budget. It's detailed in this budget, the road is. Yeah. And how it's gonna be funded.
Everything is in the doc, but there's a lot of.
If you,
There's a lot.
if we allow you to get to
So,
it.
so Noah's gonna go through the fund requests. I'm gonna tackle the staffing requests. And Nick and Dennis are here specifically for their staff requests if you've got questions. Go ahead, Noah.
Okay. So I'm gonna try to move through this fairly quick, so there's a lot of things slides mentioned, and it's gonna be a long night. So I'm gonna first cover the highlights and summary, which is pages 1 through 7. And then on pages 8 through 13 is the income statement. And that actually gives you the high level look at how each of these adjustments impact each fund and any fund balance. Okay, so I come on with the overview, and then we'll say, okay, what does this mean to the fund? What does this mean to the financial conditions of the city? And that's what we'll look at in the income statement. And then out of the finance committee, we had some requests for some additional focus on the operating funds itself. So I got one page 14 that I want to spend a little time on, going through the operating funds, like general fund, water, sewer, storm.
Oh, so
And
we're not going through one by one?
no, we will.
Oh, okay, good.
Kind of give you an overview of what's in
Okay.
here,
Gotcha.
and then we'll kind of.
Then we'll go back.
Yeah. And then depending on how we're doing time, we might spend a little time looking at the capital impacts from the very back. Okay, it's all there. Feel free to ask questions as we go. Okay, so the first page, page 1, we highlight and summarize the impact to the general fund. So these, again, cleanup items, you'll see here, $273,000 at the top here, general fund impact. Well, I should start by saying the total impact of the general fund is $866,000. New requests and cleanup items. Okay, this does not include personnel. We have personnel on the back page, so you can see the personnel impact. But again, we bring that all this back together with the income statement. So with these cleanup items, 270,000, new requests of roughly 600,000. We have a request for Gibbons Master Plan, Gibbons Park Master Plan of our. Again, stop me, someone go fast. So stop me if you have questions. I got Dennis here and Nick here to answer questions.
Did we get Gibbons open yet for the park up there? Is that all done?
No,
No.
you want me to give a background on that?
Well, that we're
Not
gonna-
now.
Oh, not now, but
Okay.
later. Wow.
We have a problem with the contractor.
I will give a thorough update next meeting.
And in this list of the, from the retreat and items that didn't get funded, previously that are being funded would be the website and the budget software, and Noah will tell you more about those things.
Yeah. So we'll just walk through the bullets, the Gibbons Master Plan, public works facilities. Again, some of this, I guess you could claim as cleanup items, because as Public Works evaluated their need, said, hey, we've taken on additional facilities, additional expenses, so we need more supplies and maintenance and power, all those kind of things. The mayor had requested that KCR, not Housing Kids Up, that is my error there, receive an additional $50,000. Again, we awarded that contract to them last year or earlier this year. This year, and to my knowledge, they have performed. We haven't fully reimbursed them yet. We're still waiting for them to invoice us. But in conversations with the director, they said they have performed. We're just waiting to submit. So the mayor had requested additional funding. These would be the affordable sales tax dollars. So these are affordable housing dollars, excuse me. But these are restricted funding source that we have available. They can only be used for these type of purposes. Then the website request that came out of Hamilton staff at the beginning of the biennium was on the mid-year list. Parks, playground equipment. Public Works identified some additional parks that need to be replaced with their playground equipment. Finance budget software. This was also at the beginning of the biennial request. This would be a software that would be more public facing, more user friendly, so the public can click on a site and see the budget, click through it, and a more visual presentation.
I was doing an exercise.
Oh. Yeah, thank you, Brandy, thank you. All right. So, all right, then we'll look at this. Janitorial services, those are pretty straightforward. Furniture for office furniture. So if we do receive authority to hire new personnel, they'll need furniture. It'll be down below in the city hall facilities.
It's adding 2 units to the cubicle system that's there. And so there's personnel requests, but we just don't have any place to put them if we fund the personnel.
I watched the video. I was advised to do.
Good job.
Yeah, it was difficult. Not really, it's actually kind of interesting. That's a lot of money for a desk and some cubicle walls. I mean, did we actually get, we're just throwing like dollars out there thinking that should cover it, or did we actually go out there and get like
We got a quote about
estimates on that?
4 years ago, and it was like 12 grand. I just figured it's gonna cost a little more. So I haven't gotten a quote today, but 4 years ago, I got a quote. So we got 2 cubicles and we wanna be able to add on to those cubicles. So it's a specific system with, built-in desk.
IKEA is sounding better and better, but
Yeah, I
that's
know.
crazy. That's a lot of money. So I can keep one place. Sorry.
Yeah.
Experienced it. a couple of years
And
ago.
we had police down below and I was
Down
glad
in the police and work.
that's it.
Yeah.
Out of concrete this pathway, but
So UCD has requested some additional money for training on their Spargo software to improve their staff. And upgrade some components to it, some different additional modules. We've already talked about the animal contract. Okay. Any questions on these general fund items? Okay, we'll move on for now. For the street fund. Again, some minor claim stuff. The new requests are, we experienced an increase in costs for striping and buttons.
And thermoplastic.
The thermoplastic.
Same line item.
We have a amended Kitsap County single maintenance contract, which is higher cost again. Snow and ice increase for more supplies. And then Dennis, did you want to talk real quickly about the trailer and the de-equity?
Yeah, so currently every time we want to pressure wash downtown, if we don't have good hydrant access or any of our facilities that don't have good hydrant access, which is most of the time, we have to rent a trailer from the rental yard, several $100s every time we rent it. This is going to purchase it. That's about $10,000. We'll be able to use it probably for about 20 years until it wears out. The other item is from last year council during snow and ice. We talked about the additional roads that we're looking to de-ice. We currently have one de-icer unit that does the entire city. We have to run loads to the county to get our salt brine. This would add a second de-icer unit for coverage throughout the city.
have we looked into doing thermo ourselves?
Not at this time. We could do.
For 30 grand, we could get a torch and a grinder.
We could do torch, the city staff has never done it themselves here. I've come from agencies where we've done it.
For sure. And we can be trained.
It could be done. It could be done.
We'd save a lot of money and convenience.
And for staff, it's a staffing issue. It does take, you gotta do traffic control, so it's personnel. It is achievable at somewhere.
For sure. I just think the more in-house things that we have the ability to do, we'll save a lot more money in the long run. So I'd rather buy a grinder and a torch and do it ourselves, but.
We, as you'll see when it comes to the building official, we're always looking at where's that tipping point that it becomes more efficient for us to do it, because we're paying so much money, for somebody else to do it, and where we're at right now, at least in that activity, is it would take a significant amount of staff time to put that operation, and we'd have to take away from other things we're doing that we don't, that we want to continue to do. So.
Briefly on the criminal justice fund, the Axon interview room, has our needs that we just haven't kept up on, so touching on that one there. Moving on to the capital projects, we'll talk more in depth about that. For our 302 capital construction fund, the the new asks are, again, we can almost coin these up to cleanup because the community event center council has already approved amendments 16 through 19 for the RFM design. So this just captures those amendments. The public works shop, this is a new request for additional funding to complete some remodel work over at the new related facility.
About 30,000 of it is bringing fiber buildings so that run our computer systems, and eventually we'd like to put our SCADA equipment also in that building. Without fiber, it's pretty tough to house people there.
This is all scheduled for the.
Yes, that's 75. There was 75 in the purchase, and this gives us a total of 150,000 to do all of the list of items that Public Works has identified to bring the building up to to serve our needs.
Any questions on the 302? I was on the 304. Okay, so the 304 fund, again, you see here again, 304 fund is our street capital construction fund. And here you see we have our TIP 1.16, which is the SR 166, which is this big three. This is the big one that we're talking about. So we add $3.6 million of traffic impact fee funding come out of that fund.
Where was this at from?
Our traffic impact fees. So this.
Were those designated for that area?
They're in the tip.
But they're designated.
We spent that on that.
I mean, but the tip of they're planned on going down there for Bethel.
Oh, they're planned for, there's a laundry list of things we're gonna, would do with those. Bethel.
Just updated that list, didn't we?
Yeah, we update that list periodically because we get new costs.
Salary based. Wait, that's.
You guys identify the, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, no, that's what it is, yeah.
yeah, there was a process, because remember remember the discussion we went through? It could have, yeah, how, do we want this level or this level? And some projects were added and some were removed. Yeah, so it's got a somewhat
It is
priority.
priority based, yeah.
Yeah.
We are setting priority, that's what we do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then by this action, I'd say you are setting priority here.
Correct.
So-
No, yeah.
Just gonna one last time raise my flag. I don't wanna give up on utilizing the federal dollars yet. I tried to do a little additional research. I have not seen where any city has lost a federal grant over that just yet.
You feel like we're running away.
I wanna wait for it later because
Yeah.
you'll program those dollars elsewhere either, but I wanna say it another time, that I don't like walking away from those dollars when I don't know that that's 100% necessary.
I wanna say that what you're saying is kind of vague. Do you wanna expand to everybody? And
So
that's what I'm saying.
so where we're at, the dollars are definitely tied up in the federal budget.
Because
Because that's where
requirements or?
yes, they are a capital, they're appropriations from our Senator Murray,
Okay.
no, excuse me, Cantwell.
Okay.
So we applied for a grant and we received a capital appropriation from Senator Cantwell. Okay, those appropriations aren't funded and they're part of the federal budget that's in an impasse right now. So that's right now is the biggest obstacle. Is that we don't know, we don't have any certainty when the federal budget's going to get approved. We've called them out, and if we can.
You wanna say it
But so,
many times as possible.
just give you an example, the state's process is easier than the federal process. Okay, the state's budget was approved in July. Okay, we still don't have our $1 million obligated. We're in conversations with the state, but we're still not under contract with those. Even if the federal budget got approved tomorrow, we're probably looking at 6 months to get those dollars obligated. Just the obligation process and the contract that we don't know what that language is. So when, as we're progressing, we're looking to go out to bid here the first of the year. And if there's some hope, then we could slow down. You know, but our goal is to be under construction, awarding a contract and starting the construction in March. And I'm just not seeing a path where things get solved and people go back to work. Because there just aren't people in the federal government to do that work right now.
And so we're just guesstimating $11 million. We haven't had out to bid yet.
We have an engineer's estimate. for
Engineer's
11
estimate.
Yeah,
correct.
and so when we go to bid, we'll know the
Ballpark.
real number, yeah. But that's what we build the budget on, is on estimates.
For sure.
So and I totally hear you. I wouldn't have applied for the grant if I didn't want the money and I didn't think we needed the money. And I would hope, you know, I haven't completely given up hope, but we've got to move forward. People are losing faith that this project in the community center and all this is real, and we've got to show progress. So I think it's important that we go to construction next year if we can, and this budget funds that. And I'm highly confident that we're going to get the $1 million from the state. We just haven't dotted the i's across the t's, and we need to build the budget with obligations and money that we have.
I'm not gonna object, like, but I just, don't give up on us. I think, you'll hear from me, I'm one of just,
Yeah,
I would slow it down just a hair, just to save us, because those local dollars could stay to another project and.
Yep, I hear you.
I know you can.
Yep, I totally hear you. Jay?
Just a process question. We run into issues with federal dollars if we start the project.
Yes, we can't reimburse ourselves.
That's what I'm saying.
No.
Okay.
It is a reimbursement, but it's not. So once we award a contract, the ship sails. But we have to perform work and then get reimbursed. It's a reimbursement, but I can't reimburse to once we award. Once we award and start the project, they're not gonna let us. It's highly unlikely that they would let us plug those dollars back in and claw back later. So, but I won't give up on those dollars in that process. I'm not optimistic.
Or even if there's an opportunity to have a conversation with the senator's office to say, well, can we reallocate those towards the Bethel project? But probably are gonna have the same sea level, that we saw.
We likely don't, this particular, we've really been very purposeful when the states request and the federal, that this is about infrastructure. And their dollars are going into infrastructure and not into a road project, because so if I say it's for Bethel, so a more likely scenario is the intertie.
Whatever.
Because it's that tire compound thing that is messing us up with the federal dollars on the second roundabout at Lincoln and Bethel. We've been 4 years stuck because they can't resolve how we're to treat the tire compounds. And so we're going to be very strategic in when we ask for federal dollars. We're good on designs and we're good on infrastructure. And the moment we start putting it into asphalt and stormwater, then it triggers unintended consequences happen and regulations. Sorry, we went down a rabbit hole.
What budget? $3 million.
Good hole. Yeah, it is. It's a $3 million hole. That's right. I'm just thankful that we were healthy enough to be able to pull this off.
Okay, so the next page 4, we set the top of the water operations fund. The biggest request here is for foster funding, an additional $270,000. Dennis, do you want to speak to that?
Yes, so we've got our draft mitigation plan, which I previously updated council. We are going to update our draft mitigation plans after our conversations that are happening with the local tribes. We're still working through what they want to see and what we're going to be required to do. I am in the process of scheduling a meeting to start working on our locals with the West Sound Utilities. And we are also attempting to do something with Bremerton, which we might be at an impasse, but we're steady ahead. We're hoping to be done by the end of this year. It's going to be tight, so this is definitely going to go into next year.
And I hope not farther than next year.
Look at all these requests. Dennis knows how to spend money.
It's the biggest
Tender.
He's getting things done though.
Yeah.
The next fund we're looking at is the water capital fund. Again, so this is the funding for the Bay Street, the water component of that. We have a little bit in our current budget, so this would brings it to what our current estimate is. Now, again, hold that as I might come back once we get our real numbers and say, hey, we need more money, hopefully less, right? The other point I want to make on this one, like Mayor commented, that the water operations fund isn't strong enough to support this $400,000 increase transfer, so we are using the general fund to pay for this. And that is reflected in all the documents.
And those are the dollars, when we get the state revenue, we'll claw those general fund dollars back out of this project.
Okay, storm operations, the new request is a push camera. And you want to cover this for both sewer and storm, I guess?
Yeah, this is just replacing our old push cameras died. This is what small diameter, this isn't our rover that our video van that we have, that's still working great. This is our side laterals that we are just small diameter, regular inspections. It's probably our biggest source of claims against the city is those laterals on the sewer connection that determine if it's our fault or homeowner's fault. So it's if it's break before curb or behind curb, or what the actual issue is. Ours is an illicit connection that shouldn't have been tied in.
$6 grand is pretty cheap.
It's six in
That's
storm
good.
and six in,
Oh, I'm like,
yeah.
here's the
It
good
is
stuff.
cheap.
That's- 6 grand is cheap, like, look at the wrong one.
That's
Okay.
well,
Alright.
because both utilities get used.
Just like that.
Moving on to storm capital, we have Annapolis Creek design, Ruby Creek design, again, SR 166, Stone's portion. These two designs above also have some RCO grant money tied to it. So we are going to contribute our 50% local match. We already have some budget for Ruby Creek design in the current budget, so this additional 250,000 hopefully would complete that phase of design. And we just talked about this push camera for the sewer operations. So you can move on to page 5, sewer capital. They have come back to the SR 166 project, sewer's portion of that. Again, it doesn't have as much because we currently have a significant amount. Thank you. Significant amount already currently in the budget for it. So with the SR 166 project, was trying to bring the remaining funding with us to complete project. We initially set the remaining budget with some funding in, and now we're just kind of rounding it up to complete this so we can move forward with advertising. Yeah, going to bid. ER&R, again, claims items, new requests. These new requests would accompany the personnel. So because we're requesting a new sewer person, then we need a new Ford F-250 truck along with storm, a police officer. The oil head system, now we've actually budgeted that for a couple of years, hoping to get that complete, and that project always gets put on hold due to other work. So we're hoping to bring that back to get an over the head oil system, because right now they're getting jugs at a time.
Quit buying oil by the quart and be a much more efficient way to do oil changes out of the shop.
Yeah, Dennis works this piece of device can be.
It'll be at their existing current shop, that's where our mechanics will stay.
And Noah, so these are all the Ford board, additional police vehicle. And then are these all new ones that we want to purchase? All this stuff
If
right
if
here?
we approve these new personnel, they would all need vehicles, correct?
Cause I just feel like we have purchased so many vehicles in the last year, like so many.
Well,
Like
again,
we're replacing everything.
yeah,
I will
So,
say,
can I jump in here quick? I have asked that the finance committee will review the ER&R policy to look at all that. I understand how you feel that way. I know this council has not reviewed that, so it will go to the finance committee.
and you're right, we have replaced a lot of our old fleet in the time the city wasn't replacing the fleet, so we have been batching away the last 4 or 6 years to get a new fleet of that address for current needs. These are new employees, new needs. Anytime you add an officer, you gotta add a vehicle. So that is their office, right?
Yeah, cause we're gonna add one, a new police officer.
Yeah, if you don't have an officer, then
We,
that's,
we might add an officer. We might add an officer, there's no guarantee we are.
Yeah,
It's based off, we do add an officer, do you wanna hold off questions till we get to staff?
yeah, we just said, it's,
Thanks, yep.
now these all should, all our new stuff should last for like at least 10-20 years,
Well-
right?
Well, I wanna
20.
jump in and blame Public Works too, because I started working here and and Jeff is pretty new, but we've had stuff that was like scheduled to replace 4 or 5 years ago. That
Yeah.
was on the list, so it was already funded to be replaced.
Why wasn't it?
I think capacity, availability. We went through COVID and there was a lot of fleet trucks that we just couldn't get.
So the money's always been there, we just haven't made the purchases.
These two are.
So these are new dollars.
these ones are new.
Yeah, try it.
Replacement. Yeah, but what you've seen in the last couple of years is delayed purchases that just didn't get purchased on time, so we'll let to next budget, and I think we've noted that.
Yeah, COVID was tough with chips and everything, I get it.
Oh, yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
mean,
I mean, you could buy it.
I mean, that, we didn't have a mower, a roadside mower all summer because that thing took almost a year to get doggone tractor with the mower.
Yeah, and then some of these larger vehicles, it does take like a year to get, so. You know, the time is kind of, sound like that.
All these new vehicles we purchased this year, including these that we're looking at tonight, are going on the asset management system, correct?
Yes.
So they will be processed out in a 5 or 8 or 12 year replacement cycle.
Yeah, they have a replacement cycle.
Yep.
They get added into it and then we fund for that eventual replacement.
So this last one I always want to point out because it's a request to modify the fleet. So we had initially added a hook lift truck as an addition to the fleet. Public Works has come back and kind of reassessed that particular vehicle and has requested that we modify the fleet and remove the hook lift truck and instead replace it with a bucket truck. So Dennis, I don't know if you want to speak to that thought process and the request.
Yeah, so currently we have a multi-function 5-yard dump demo box, and it also has a hook lift that you can put onto it. It's multi-adaptive. We've had 3 instances where we had to have the fire department come out and do a bucket rescue because it's breaking down. It's also the same truck we use for de-icing and salts on the roads, so there's lots of corrosion. So every time we rent a bucket truck, putting the tree up, it's about $900 a day. This will allow us to pressure wash our reservoirs, do maintenance on City Hall, wash our windows, gutters, high reach areas. Eventually, with that, trees. Eventually, we will even explore possibly, we have an electrician that's gonna retire in the near future. We might look at a traffic signal hybrid position where we could take that work and do it internally, and we'll have this bucket truck that can do that type of work.
how old's the bucket truck that's out there?
With that,
How old's that bucket truck that's out there?
I would, more than a dozen years old. And it's not a bucket truck, it's an attachment. So the piece of equipment's called a super single. It's a 5-yard single axle chassis, and it's got these implements that you put onto it. One of them is the de-icer, another one's a dump box. It's got a flatbed box, and it has this, we thought it'd be this great tool to have the bucket truck. It's not very robust. It breaks down all the time, and we've had to have our crews rescued a couple times by the fire department. But they got stuck up in it and it broke down.
So we've already approved the hook lift truck, so it's all we're really doing is $8,000 swing between you moving and adding.
Well, there were some savings from the purchase of ER 1036. So to make it whole, we can move some authority.
So it's really zeros to flat, it's a wash.
Yeah, so
Okay.
pretty much,
Good.
I only bring it forward because it's a modification.
I agree.
And we want to be transparent that, hey, we're not buying this hook lift truck that we originally talked about for $250,000. We're gonna instead deviate our plan and look to buy a bucket lift truck, and these are the reasons why.
All right, ready to talk about personnel?
Yep, page 6, we're moving on to personnel.
Okay, the first request is a communication specialist. So in Brandy's request, she asked for a halftime, her halftime employee. And due to her increased workload with public records requests and everything else that's going on in the clerk's department. Prior to COVID, we had 3 personnel in the clerk's department. And didn't need all of those folks. Our lobby traffic changed pretty significantly. with COVID, and it's come back some, but that's really not the need. It's her work. So she's got about a half-time person with the work. You guys have been indicating for a few years now that you guys would like to have a communication specialist. We've been having Josh do that work as a contract, through a contract for $25,000 a year is what he's been doing for us. And I saw an opportunity here to hire a full-time person. About half of what they would do is the communications work that Josh has been doing, and then support the clerk's operation with the other half of their time. Josh does great work for us. Really appreciate everything he's done for us, but he's not in City Hall every day, and he doesn't see what's going on. He can't walk over to Dennis's office and say, hey, what's going on with this project? It's just, it creates lag in our communication. And I think this we'll be able to take our communication efforts to another level by having somebody in-house here every day of the week. And this person is part of the need for that additional cubicle, one of the two cubicles down it's fairly expensive. So I need someplace for them to sit.
Will he be in charge of the media and the
Everything, so
page?
and another piece of that, so if we're gonna buy a new web page, or new website, we need somebody to administer that process and project and put the content in the new website. So that'll be in the first year, this person, probably the heaviest project that they're gonna tackle is implementing our new website. But they'll do our website, our social media, our press releases, and those communication pieces that, going out and taking pictures and those activities that Josh is currently doing. Some of it the clerks is already doing. So about half of it is, this position is going to be what Josh was doing. And I've talked to Josh about this, and this isn't going to happen overnight. And we still got him on contract for the rest of this year because there's going to be a handoff and a transition. And I think there's still plenty of work for Josh to do from our lodging tax realm. The other position is we've been talking about the needs to provide better customer service and support in our building department. Right now, we are almost exclusively, plans review are happening, or particular commercial, the larger projects are happening by consultants. And then our folks are going out and doing those inspections. We don't have anybody hardly ever in the office for that walk-in, to help that small business person with their request. This will allow and give us some capacity, we won't be able to go cold turkey off of consultant reviewers, but take some of that work back in-house, provide a better level of service there. And then, secondly, be able to provide, better, have somebody in the office from time to time to be able to have appointment times and be able to help with folks with their permitting processes.
So, Mayor, see the request for personal requests, and I know you haven't gotten these yet.
Yeah.
But do we have a corresponding idea about how much in consultant contracts we'd be clawing back to offset the 1.8?
It would be, I can't put a dollar, we will be doing less. We have contracts awarded, but they're on a fee, they're fee-based.
Right.
Okay, and so this position will be able to take some of that, but if we stopped doing the consultant work, then we're not going to we need more capacity, some more capacity. And so we're going to take some of that work back, but we need more capacity because that's one of the complaints I'm getting is permit turn times and the level of customer
But at
service.
some point in time, we'll be able to see somewhat.
Yes.
So Mayor, if I could speak to this.
Sure.
So I had put in a budget request to actually increase our consultant budget by $150,000.
I said that I could live without that instead by hiring somebody to come on, and that may allow us to reduce our reliance on the consultants below the currently budgeted amount, but we're not reducing the budgeted amount for consultants in the year.
And we'll evaluate
Well, that's what I'm saying, is at some point in time, we'll see kind of a crossover.
some.
Yeah,
But if
I'm
we,
not putting a dollar on dollar on it, I'm
Yeah.
not trying to put a figure to it, it's just that when we talk about the 1.8 total, at some point in time, you know, between what you say that we have savings in because we don't hire people, there's savings there, we'll see some savings in consultants not being used.
remember, a big part of our one-time revenue came from building fees. And so I think it's appropriate that we spend some of this money on hiring folks to process those permits.
It'd be, yeah, great, more in-house people. I mean, he had it on the consent agenda. There was like about 4, and
Yeah.
it kind of it's a lot for consultants. And there was 4 of those that we just said, so the money, we kind of know how much is for consultants. Right there from our last.
And we got there doesn't seem to be, there's no indication of a slowdown in our permit processing, so we need to put some resources.
Yeah, I agree, we need some, friendly faces down.
Where did the 1.8 come from?
One point where you,
No, like, where'd it come?
various funds, some of it's coming, so there's a cost allocation process, I'll let you, down here at the bottom, you can see.
That's where you're spending, he's asking,
Where'd it come from? Because like when we did,
how do we have 1.8 million?
yeah, when we did the retreat, we had to claw, beg, scratch and say, I said,
So,
like, I'm not voting for it.
so I spoke, at the very beginning, there was $3 million in one-time revenue. And it came from interest earnings, so we're sitting on reserves, so we earn interest, we don't budget interest earnings, because you don't know what interest rates are gonna do and what you're gonna get. And the other large piece of it was building permit fees. We're way overperformed from budget, so we had $3 million come in that we didn't anticipate in one-time revenue. And so,
We have to be able to support these people for
yeah,
years.
and remember in my remarks, I said, anything that came out of the general fund, we also set aside 3 years of salaries and
Right, that's
benefits.
what I'm saying, like, it's,
So because if I don't want to be where county is right now, and I don't want to be where Bremerton's headed, and Bainbridge, Iowa was last year. With a 3-year landing should allow us to, if it truly slows down, to manage through attrition and not lay off. That's the goal. So,
sure.
so we've plugged 3 years of salaries and benefits from anything that touches the general fund. The enterprise funds are a different animal. You just improve those increases to the rates, and you wanted more service there. Okay, now on to the permit center. We have a part-time employee that really good employee there that would like to go full-time, and we have the work for her. So we're gonna take that permit clerk and make them a full-time employee. We have this one's complicated. So we had Nick's got titles to it. I'm gonna give it, we've got 4 levels of planners, okay? And we had somebody leave us that was a 2nd level planner. And we had somebody that we hired out of college, Connor, was doing exceptional work. So when this other person left, we promoted Connor into the 2, okay? But we had money in the budget for a 2, but the salary table only shows, which you guys have to prove the organizational chart too. And so that organizational chart shows we only have the position of a 1, okay? We just in the past, when we've tried to hire planners, gosh, Nick, what would we get? 6 applicants, and we probably didn't want any of them. Once in a while, it would take a long time. Would we have 75, 80 applicants?
I think that was at first review, and they kept coming in even after.
And so so the salary table has a 1. The guy we got is coming from Jefferson County with a master's degree and all kinds of experience. And so he's coming in as a 1, middle of the steps, you know, from a salary standpoint. But Nick wants to be able to promote this person mid-year next year, so you're approving that ability for him to promote this individual if he's as good as his resume indicates. Yes, and we are. So we're not just automatically doing that. Sometime in 2026, we're wanting to promote this individual who's got a master's degree and many years of industry experience. Okay, you know, the finance department in my 10 years as the mayor has had, I think, one new employee. We've largely managed improved work capacity through technology and efficiency at the finance department, but it's really hit a critical point there. They need a body, the amount of work and the amount of growth that we've got. And so that's the second body going into the 2 cubicles that we're adding down in the administrative side of the building. Police department asked for 3 officers. If we would have funded that, that would have been $1.3 million. I didn't feel we could quite afford that. We've added a number of police officers here in the last few years, but I felt it was warranted to add 1 new officer to the
Have
mix.
they been fully staffed?
They are, I think, 2 bodies short.
Yeah, I think they've been couple by short.
They're close.
So what, if we're struggling to fill it, why are we hiring another?
We're not. We had somebody just leave. Here, a sergeant that left us. So one of the 2 openings that we have right now was somebody just recently departed. They're doing interviews today for a promotion, which is creating an opening. So I think we've had maybe 1, and we won't obviously spend this money until we get that person hired. But you know, we're making huge gains in traffic enforcement. You know, and our accident counts and things are going down. I think I'd like to continue us to see progress in there and get, this is a patrol officer. So we're putting an additional person out on the street to do traffic enforcement and the things that we're hearing complaints about.
I should know the number. How many police officers do we have?
Let's say 22 out on the street, counting the sergeants, but I wish I had somebody with a police department here. I think that's right, but I might be off by 1.
Just, yeah, sounds kind of right, but
Yeah, I think I'm pretty
24/7,
close.
so.
Yeah. Okay, so we have, how many inspectors, Dennis? 3?
We have 3.5.
3.5 inspectors. One of the individuals, so we're taking the inspectors when the remodel's done out of the new building, and we're gonna put them out there as a group. Right now they're at City Hall, and Dennis is directly supervising those individuals, or maybe Chris is there. So they're gonna be out there independently, and we need to have somebody who's a supervisor in that group. And so there's one of the individuals is equipped to do that. And so we're gonna offer a promotion to one of our inspectors. It's not a huge cost to do that. And it, you know, gives us somebody out there that's in charge, you know, in charge of that work group. Right now we have, remember, we have an engineer that's out on military leave. We both think he's coming back in February or March. We took those dollars and we hired and it's, you know, a temporary employee. We hired somebody that had left us, brought her back. We'd like to keep, there's a lot of work out there in the inspection realm. We'd like to keep her on, and without funding this position, when that engineer comes back from military leave, we wouldn't have the authority to keep that person on. I think it's important with the number of projects that we got coming online. Let's keep our engineers doing the high level work and let these inspectors who aren't paid the same salaries as our engineers do that inspection work out in the field, or the supervision of the engineers.
Have we thought about hiring that person full-time?
We are.
Oh, we are hiring that person full-time.
Yes. So his half that he's talking about, he's got somebody that does inspection work half-time and does those other activities half-time.
So that this temp worker.
Yeah, she's full-time right now, and she would just become, instead of a temp employee, she'd be a city
A
employee.
city employee. Perfect. Okay.
Do we have any part-time workers in our city? Do people like that position?
We have a few, but not a lot. Nick has one right now that we're turning into a full-time position. They tend to be a revolving door unless you have the right person that wants part-time work, they have kids at school or things of that nature. And recruiting into training is expensive, too, so, sometimes like his halftime position of as inspector, sometimes we hire somebody that covers two functions and the communications person. We're kind of splitting their duties between versus having two part-timers, one full-time person, and then you tend not to have as much turnover in your staff because they're getting, benefits and medical benefits and things of that nature. The office assistant two is for the Public Works Department. We have an intern that we would like to keep on to do, help Jeff do less administrative work. Jeff out in Public Works, our Public Works manager, he spends too much time processing paper and paying bills and things of that nature. They need some administrative help out there at clerical help out of Public Works, so we can take that off his plate and he can do higher level work. And then we get into there's 4 positions here in this last line. This budget proposes to add an additional person in parks, an additional person in streets. These 2 are both funded out of the general fund. You have a sewer position and a storm position, which are both funded out of the utilities.
We said we're gonna go 2. Sorry, Jay, go ahead, please.
Oh, no, but I think we may have the same question.
We did, but
So this one for the sewer was part of the,
Yes, the rating.
because the rate increase where we had that.
Yep, that's correct.
So, yeah, 2, but it's one next year, then on the following year, if I remember correctly.
That's correct. So there'll be one in this budget and then likely one proposed in the next
Okay.
budget.
I was wondering where those positions were. Thank you.
Is this money right here, the 1,868,000, is that with salary and benefits?
Yes. Yes, it is. And then in the bottom right corner, it tells you all the different funds that they're coming out of. Total one is general fund. And what I spoke to earlier, all of those dollars for salary and benefits were also part of 3 years of salaries and benefits in setting it aside and obligating it so that we can assure that we can afford those positions. Not, gosh, last thing we want to do is spend the next 6 months hiring and training somebody and then have to lay them off next year. And so it would be.
Yeah, and just to be clear, the 3 years is really, it's like for 26, and then we have money for 27, 28, so for another biennium period.
When you put that money aside, is it making an interest and
Yeah.
getting
Oh,
money
yeah.
on that? Yeah, good, okay.
don't forget that every employee is a vehicle or
Yeah.
office furniture and all
Yeah,
other jazz.
That's right. That's why those,
Yeah.
a couple pages ago, we were talking about those
So I'm
vehicles
saying,
we had to buy.
Yeah, it all adds up.
Yep, they need, if they're an office employee, they need a desk and a computer, and if they're out in the field, they need a truck.
We have plenty of those.
Well,
So we're adding 4 maintenance positions, but we're only adding 2 trucks. So try to keep it down.
We got a lift truck or.
Well, that was
Lift
already.
truck.
listed
Come
as
on.
equipment. Replacement.
all right, I'm gonna let Noah talk about the finance committee requests, all right.
Look at this, and then we'll. for a moment, you can
So,
select on this before you
it-
move this piece.
So there's there's a point in time where Noah cuts us off. And because he's got to prepare all these documents, but yet things, things keep moving and increased expenses, this contract or that contract or presentations like Josh or Fine Work come in and they didn't meet the deadline for the mayor's budget. So that's where the finance committee came in. And then we've even had, I think, one other item since that time. So Noah can speak to this.
Yeah, so the first 2 are pretty self-explanatory, prosecution service with the bad face, new state law. Oh, thank you. So this, again, would have been a cleanup item. If timing had worked out right.
Sure.
The next few items actually came out of a discussion with the Economic Development Committee as well as the Finance Committee. So there was a request from John, I believe, to provide some additional funding for LTAC. And LTAC go through that process to have this, not $35,000 come prepared for that process.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, that's looking at it as a one-time increase for FIFA, right, for the World Cup, okay?
And we overperformed the year before and basically no.
Yeah, better.
And then, again, economic development committee, there was discussion about water beautification. So this $100,000 include benches, murals, banners. There's one other thing that this included.
Grant program.
Well, that was the second 100,000. I don't see that, Noah. There was 100,000 for beautification, and then we were gonna put $100,000 into a bucket for the grant program.
Okay.
You might have missed
I
that.
missed that, so I didn't. Again, I'll
So
say-
call that-
we haven't defined the grant program yet, but we wanted to fund it.
Okay.
Dick staffs is gonna perform over the winter, the outreach that you guys asked for to the property owners. And so once that body of work's done and we identify the needs, we wanted to have a bucket of dollars set aside in the budget.
Just for my own edification, we were still waiting a little bit of clarification. What that program would look like from a legal perspective. too.
So Charlie gave us that body, that white paper.
Oh, that was it, okay.
Okay.
I thought there was something else. that was
We can,
coming.
there's,
I thought
yeah,
that
we
was the
still have to, that's the framework for a
Yeah.
program that could be created. It's likely frontage improvements, it's some
Okay,
sort
we
of a
haven't gotten
grant
to
with a
that piece of
match.
it yet.
And you guys have, we
So
haven't,
that's what they must do.
That's what I'm
So
saying.
that's what they use.
That's what I've been waiting for, okay.
okay, so there was proposed from that committee meeting, and Noah just missed that. Was $100,000 to be earmarked for that, for a future program that yet is
707.
that we haven't defined yet, the council hasn't defined yet. And the other was, Josh came forward with about 75 and we threw another 25 at it. Just because we thought maybe instead of one mural, we'd have put two murals. So it's a mural or two on the waterfront. We've got a new, so one of, in his presentation that they get that portion of it, don't they?
Yeah.
Okay, so next Josh is gonna give a presentation on what things we should do to make our waterfront more inviting. And it's park benches, potentially a mural or two, new updated garbage cans. We've got that new observation deck that could use a picnic table and some furniture on it. And unfortunately, that stuff's really expensive, that outdoor furniture. So I won't belabor that anymore.
So we'll come back to the presentation.
Yeah, and are we gonna come to another time where we all decide as city council, yes, we want this, no, we don't want any banners, we want something more permanent when it comes to beautifying our downtown.
Well, Josh has got a presentation in
Right,
which that you
that's
saw.
Yeah,
Okay, so that gives us a menu of things. All we're doing is putting some money into the budget, and I will come back.
The things we saw, we will do something with some of that.
yeah, and then we can decide,
Yes,
we'll decide later what we really want.
what those things are. But
Yeah,
but definitely, I need Public Works to get going on those site furnishings have long lead time. And you know, I mean, what do they take, 2 or 3 months, Mark?
Max.
Yeah, so we gotta get going on that soon.
So I heard the 100,000, is there another one on top of that?
There's two things,
No, I
one.
heard.
Yes,
Look at this total here.
Noah missed one.
Yeah, that was 100,000, so are we at 707 or are we higher than that?
Yes,
707.
That is
is the
right.
final. Is the final. Okay,
From the
that's all.
finance break.
I heard two different conversations, so.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. The next one down is the 50,000 for would like our next parking enforcement vehicle to have a license, LPR, which is a license plate reader system. Instead of chalking tires, they will drive down a street, it will record everybody's license plate. They come back 2 hours later or 4 hours later. It drives by the car, it goes ding, 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 it spits out a ticket and they place it on the car. So,
Ours moved half a block down.
it doesn't, it knows, so our part, you're not supposed to park on the same street, but we have no means of tracking that. So our code says you can't do that,
Sure.
but if the chalk's not on the tire, we can't prove that.
This would actually enforce it, so some might not like that.
So, and
Yeah.
Did we look into, other cities have decided not to own it
I'm not thinking-
and pay somebody else to operate that?
It does
Did we
help.
look into why that was?
We haven't at this point. You know, we have two staff, this is an indication, you know, a position where we do have two part-time employees. But it's a low-level position. And it does tend to be a revolving door.
I think it's okay to park down the street.
It won't be when we have the system. So,
Yes, this
So
is
nobody like
okay
that system.
Yeah.
To code. Yeah, so.
Maybe we should change the code.
well, that's your purview. So the last item on this list, and this came in late. So initially, when the bank was building their building, we were constructing Bay Street and Frederick Street at the same time. Okay? Right now, the bank's project isn't moving forward because, but we're trying to identify a new partner and somebody to buy that property. We don't want to build Frederick Street at this time and because the curb cuts and the street improvements were being built to serve a building that may change. So we don't want to build that street, but we've got improvements happening on Bay Street. We have an Orchard Street Plaza. We have utilities that we need to connect to these 2 points that go through Frederick Street. So we're asking for a 60% design, which will get us all of those utility designs done so that if Frederick Street even trails the community center and the Orchard Street Plaza, we know where all the pipes need to go and we don't end up tearing up streets or plazas later because we didn't plan for where the pipes needed to go in the ground. And so, Nick or Noah, what fund is that coming? I think that's coming out of traffic impact.
Yeah,
fees,
this is
isn't it?
it as well.
Yeah, specifically out of traffic impact fees, not the general fund, but I just felt it was prudent to get that high level design, not complete design though. Yes.
So I'm gonna say something. And I'm positive. I mean, I appreciate everything is adding here. Nothing confuses me more than when someone has a graduation or a wedding and they have guests coming to their home. So they start fixing their home up. They start doing their yard, painting their house, making it look all nice because their guests are coming there.
Yeah.
Blows my mind that they don't have their house looking nice for the people who live there. When I hear $100,000 going towards making downtown look nice for FIFA, really surprises me that we don't put down $100,000 every year for our own citizens who walk downtown and who have to look at it. And it's a wreck. I mean, I'll be honest, it's a wreck. I don't understand why some guests coming in town, we now step forward to make downtown look nice, highlight it, but we don't do it year round for our own citizens. As a resident of Port Orchard, I question that. I definitely think we need to do that. And it's a step forward, but I hope moving forward that we continue to add every year something 100,000, 200,000 and work our way around town. But it just kind of frustrating to me that we're doing it for guests that come in town, but not for our residents that are here every day. That's all I have to say. It's not no discussion really needs to be done, but when I hear that, it's just kind of frustrating to me as a citizen.
When you hear Josh's presentation.
I'm sure it looks beautiful.
Yeah, so
I still hold true.
while the driver right now is FIFA and the interaction, he talking to Sam, what do we need for the night market? So these furnishings and things that we're doing are going to be things that are permanently done that help us. You know, when somebody goes to the farmer's market and gets their food from the food truck, they got some place to go enjoy it down on our
That's been going on
waterfront.
for 4 years, the night markets have. And I understand you're saying that the driver is FIFA, but I've been listening to the driver, which is the citizens around here, talking for a long time about what is the city doing to make downtown look better. You know, so
Well, we're finally gonna get a theme, so that will be good.
what is it?
Huh? A city theme.
What is it?
We'll have you do a presentation.
Well,
We've been wanting one for a couple of years.
We're putting $11 million into a road. I hear you, Eric. So we're.
We're on the same, I think we're on the same page,
Yeah.
but it's just,
Yeah.
it is
Everyone's
frustrating,
perfect.
sometimes needs to get off your chest a little bit, so, all right.
Okay. I'm gonna quickly, we're about an hour and a half into this, so, things that didn't get funded, we, on-call building consultants, so Nick spoke to that. He asked for $150,000 to add more money to the consultants, and instead we're funding a person. They were asking for parks, this was in the mid-year review item. This would have been a general fund expenditure to a Parks and Open Space plan, 2 more officers, another storm position, some software that Dennis, as we talked through it, didn't feel they needed at this time. Noah's got the zero-turn mower on here twice. We just bought a really expensive mower here a couple of years ago. This would be a nice to have. They, instead of using walk behind mowers, they'd have something around City Hall. I just didn't feel it. And so, continuing to replace keypad locations with, key cards, and I think we're just fine right now. The Utility Operations Center improvement, I can't remember what that is, Dennis.
It's because I asked for the 150, not realizing that.
Oh, yeah, okay, so Dennis asked for $150,000, he got the $150,000, he just got it in two $75,000 bites. Some of it came in the purchase, and then we added 75 into the budget, so it was redundant to the money that was already provided. Yeah, so none of this stuff in the spot for the nearly $1.2 million got funded.
So if I was I don't have the list in front of me, and I'm looking at the finance committee. Basically, a lot of what we had from our retreat was funded. There's not too much that's still out there for this go around till we have our next retreat. Would that be a fair statement? Maybe.
Yeah, there weren't.
We did not go back and review that as part of this.
Hard to say that's true, but we have funded several items that were on our retreat list.
I mean, you went through that. Did you go through the list? when
They
you
were
did that?
in the mid-year review, we had you guys had your retreat, we had a budget process, and there were things that we said no to, that got
Right.
set aside, which were many of those, not many, some of those things came from that process.
Right.
And most of those, other than one thing, got funded out of that mid-year review process.
Because one of the things I would like us to do is to always have a parking lot. That, that regardless of what the idea is, unless it's too loud, that we always continue it. So at some place we're always working and trying to get to yes for those ideas, because there may be funding that comes up, grants, who knows what comes up, but we always have that consistent list that we're able to look at on that. That's why I was just asking the question. So that'd be something I'll ask for when we do our next retreat. What are the items, from the previous ones that we bring forward?
And I'll just add that, and I can share with you the list tomorrow. Try to do last there so everybody can see it. The biggest ask from that is not included in this is additional funding for road renovations.
Yeah.
Oh, we
Oh,
got
because I was wondering how we did that. That was one of our big.
Yeah, but we're funding an $11 million road. So it's not that we're not doing
Well,
road
That's
improvements,
down
it's
here,
Well, we funded $1 million for.
1.2.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So there are things that we're doing, it's just trying to keep
Yeah.
it. So I'm just trying to say that that's always something we want to be looking at, on the basis. And I know that staff does, I appreciate that, but also that we always are able to keep that in front of us somewhere. Thank you.
So, along that context, so our biennium, that next year, you'll see further along in this packet, that Director Crocker and team came back and said, This doesn't help me knowing what the fund balance is all the time, knowing that we're on track to do all the things that we want, right? So I think one of those activities that we need to do is look at all of our capital projects holistically and understand where we as a group put those priorities. So then, okay, maybe Bethel Phase 3 is of a priority, but how do we make sure that we get it done by XYZ year? So that we can start knowing where that fund needs to be by the end of 2026, even though we're not going there until 2029.
Sustainable.
Yeah. So
And so
we're making paths, at least for me, to get there.
Yep.
And so I think that we see
understand
that
that.
process look differently now that I know how the sausage is made.
Jay, do you have anything in your head that wasn't, that was?
No, what I'm just saying is, I mean, I'm sorry, it's a rabbit hole, so
No,
just
great.
bear with me for
No,
a second. You know, one of the things that came up from our HOA meeting was basically, and I've heard this from other places, other streets, is, I know we can't do stop, can't, the
red light cameras.
red light cameras, you can't do that every place. But there has been an increase for the signs, the speed sign. You know, and they cost money. But it's not like, I think we're past the point of, hey, let's have two and move them around the whole city. When we probably need some more of them. I'm just using that as an example of items. And if we just put it on the list at some point in time, we may be able to say, yeah, this is more important than this. That's it.
Reason why I ask is because I basically kind of started off with asking that question, what you asked. And then I kind of sat here and said to myself, well, if I can't remember off the top of my head what it is,
It's not gonna happen.
wasn't, you see what I'm saying? I kind of did that to myself. I sat here going, I asked that question, but yet I'm sitting here trying to go through the list. And they were funded, so that's why I know if you had something in your mind.
They're right. It doesn't think,
No, I agree.
like the program that we haven't finished yet, that came out of that retreat. Charlie's done the body of work, now we've plugged some dollars into it. That accounting software, so we have picked some of those things off. And to John's point, Noah and I have started that, but there's 4 really big projects still out there that we don't have fully funded. And so our next retreat is here, Noah and I got to do a body of work, and we'll work the finance committee, but to share with all you guys and any new faces that might be in this group.
Sure.
Okay, here's the things we're already committed to, and here's where we're at on those funding. But we also need to start that exercise of these things take a decade, so what is the next, what are the priorities for that next wave of project? Because we're likely gonna knock off 3 of those 4 projects in the next biennium. It'll be a heavy lift, but I think we can get there. But we've gotta, and we'll be talking about, March, April, it'll be a good time to have a retreat, to have that conversation. And then, because remember, we got a heavy lift in the fall because we're doing a 2-year budget again. And so I need to hear from you guys, when I do, what are the priorities? Yeah.
There, I mean,
I
for
know.
all intents and purposes, and I don't mean to belabor the point, but one of the things is, instead of saying no, we say, yes, that's a good idea, let's put it on the list. It may not be fundable right now, but.
Jake, we do that, and they become part of the budget process.
Okay, I'm sorry, I would disagree, but that's fine.
So, okay, moving us forward.
Yes, we're twice.
It would be that. So I'm just gonna point out a couple things and then I'll allow you to go look at. So the income statement, like I said, starts on page 8. And it goes through page, it goes at 13. And then it goes from the fund, and I guess we'll just look at page 8 first, so you can orient you. At the top here, you have the total beginning fund balance for all funds, the revenue for all funds, expense, and ending fund balances. And then you have the appropriation summary. And so what we will be asking for is an additional $10.4 million of expense appropriation in this budget amendment. Now, to see it impacted by each individual fund, you can just go down to the next fund where it says on the very left there, Fund 001, current expense. You have your beginning fund balance, your revenues, expenses, and ending fund balance. So I don't want to go through each of that, but instead I want to turn to what Councilmember Morrissey had requested, is on page 14. And what we really wanted to focus on was the operational funds. Was again, capital projects funded from a myriad of sources, some operating, some capital, some grants, some loan. But the operating really helps to, I think, highlight some of the requests and the impacts to those operations of the city. On page 14, you have here at the top our current expense funds. So again, we start with a fund balance of $15 million. We have revenue of $31 million, including this amendment. We have $40 million of expenses, including all the amendments included in here. And then your ending fund balance of $9.63 million. Now, Marcy had asked that we identify the $9.6 million, but we have a working capital policy. So identify $3.7 million of the 9 is for that. The new hire set aside that the mayor talks about that would continue to fund those new positions, new asks through 2028 is that $1.8 million there, which leaves an unassigned fund balance of $4 million for the general fund. And so earlier, as the discussion was, what does that mean to you? And what that means to me is two different things. It's the money that's currently not budgeted to be spent. I mean, we are not budgeting to spend working capital nor the reserve, so I would really say the $9 million is not budgeted to be spent. But the $4 million is really cash in the account. And when I look at that as you said, we're moving towards almost 27, 28 budget, is the money that we will need to start our next biennial process. Requests you're asking for now, things that you're thinking about. So while it's cash, I also start to see, we have intentions for that cash in the next couple of years as well. So I just want to kind of outline that for the general fund. We did it also for the street fund. Again, you'll see that $2 million, we have $1 million for the 98 capital, the set aside, and then the unassigned balance. Again, streets fund traditionally has not been very healthy, so it's taken us a long time to build up this unassigned fund balance, several years. The water operating fund is the one I'm watching the closest of all our operating funds. You'll see here that we have 70 days of working capital, where all the other funds have 90 days of working capital. So it still fits within the policy range. We always work our policy to the upper end, which should be the 90 days. But this sits in the middle, so it still meets the policy, but it's the fund that I will watch closely as we kind of go throughout this year with spending. We do have in there the new hire set aside as well. So you can see the fund impact. Storm meets its 90 policy, higher threshold, and a decent fund balance on the side. So I think once we do that, actually, hopefully that helps to see that the $9 million or the $2 million does have some kind of intentions behind it. There's some kind of policies that govern those dollars as well. So it's not just $9 million sitting there ready to be spent.
The other point I'm going to make is I didn't ask you to do that just so that we could go spend all those dollars. There does need to be some help in those balances, but it does give some additional clarity into those numbers on the page for you.
Yeah, and I think it's really because you wanted clarity on the requests, right? The impact of these amendments. What does that really do to us? And I can tell you, I think we're good, but I think it helps to see a little bit more clearly on the impact on the funds.
Well, I think the mayor made the point too, that we got heavy lifts coming up, so it's not money we should spend, it's money that we can move toward those projects.
We have $35 million in capital project. So the next biennium.
Yeah.
One concern that I know John and I had, that I think John expressed, was that before we saw this, it did seem like our expenses were higher than all our revenues, and then all our balances were going down. And for a year we can do it, but we can't spend like another. And we know, but it was just sort of sobering, like, okay, we can do it now. A lot of other places can't. We can't do similarly for the 2 years.
And as we talked about at the finance committee, there's a difference between operating money and capital money, and what we're spending down dramatically is capital money. We collect impact fees and connection charges to save up to do a project. So it's completely appropriate if the right project come along, and this is what the priority is, to spend that fund down to zero, because now we're delivering on a project for our community. And so we're spending $11 million out here, and it's coming out largely out of our capital and one-time revenue funds. That's what we saved them up to do, is to deliver on projects.
Yeah, and I appreciate that observation, because that's fair. I think I've said that every budget cycle, that, hey, expenses are outpacing our revenues. We're not a lot of cash right now, so we can kind of make this work. It's a cash flow game at this point from biennial budget to biennial budget. But at some point, if building slows and stops, and you say we were making good revenue adjustment due to building activity, if that slows and stops, then we're gonna have to have some really hard conversations.
That's right.
And I think we're fair to do that. That's where we're kind of setting money aside for employees and really thinking about 2 years out, 3 years out to guarantee employment, giving us hopefully time to see any slowdown in trends and plan accordingly. But I think it's an important point to bring up every budget cycle, and I think I will, for this next final budget, I want to do more analysis with hopefully this new accounting 3 in my department that we can actually really focus on that issue in particular.
That 11 million, it's going not just for the buildup of the road, other things too, right? Pipes and all that.
Yeah, oh, yeah, it's sewer, water, storm, undergrounding of power, street trees, sidewalks, it's
It's all that, yes.
the entire package of this road.
It sounds so big.
Big
so-
conversation.
You know, it's-
It is big.
But before we go on to Josh, quick 3-minute break, go drink water and.
Yeah, so we, we need to hold a public hearing first. Open the public hearing and close the public hearing.
Wait.
we done.
With this piece,
Yeah.
We got a lot more on
Are
our
you
agenda.
satisfied with what you've been presented and the information you have, and would you support this? Because I need to know for next week what ordinance is prepared. Like, so this is kind of where that direction comes in.
So the only thing I heard that, that is missing was that 100,000
Yes.
under that one piece. Other than that,
I agree.
yeah, I think we're good to go.
Clean up.
Yep.
and you've got to get housing kids out of that one.
Right.
ACR.
Let's beat that one to death, yes.
Okay, so you got two cleanups, so that I'm
Yep.
hearing that title and then adding another 100,000.
$100,000.
Then we hear
That was in there.
He's gonna do it.
About to. He's looking for feedback because he's gonna bring an ordinance
just
back
public
next week.
hearing.
Okay.
About to.
So you guys are comfortable with the
Yeah.
budget amendment as presented? I'll add in the 100,000 for a grant program that we don't have yet. I'm just gonna say we don't have a grant program yet for the
Yeah.
staffing.
It's earmarked for a grant program.
We'll prepare for that. Okay.
Here, this one right here, this is from past, right? You got the city hall.
So in the capital presentation in the back, I tried to update it so you can see the total new capital budget. So I believe it's, we can flip to your budget.
Because are we gonna go through the rest of this?
I feel like, let's be, stop right here, that you guys are comfortable with what's been presented. So in the capital presentation, it's simply reflecting all the changes that would occur and what our new capital budget would be. So again, I want the public to understand, and council to understand that, we have a large capital program, $60 million in this biennial budget.
But we don't have to do anything more with the city hall remodel, that's done.
Yeah,
Correct, that's the current.
Just gotta
Yes.
pay for it.
Remember, we have a 2-year budget. This is the second half of the 2-year budget.
Yeah, these aren't all new requests, so actually the new requests are just highlighted in red to call those out, like are currently what we have.
City Hall got done last year.
Yes.
Okay, are you ready to open the public hearing? All right, I'm opening the public hearing on the city of Port Orchard mid-biennial review for the 2025-2026 budget and proposed modifications. Anyone wishing to testify on this budget? No one in the audience here. Anyone else? Raise your hand feature if you'd like to provide testimony on the city's proposed budget. See no hands raised, so I am going to close the public hearing. That we're going to take a 3-minute break. And then we're gonna invite Josh Johnson over to give us an overview of proposed FIFA marketing activities.
Hey, finally.
We could go a portion of the session on Kate. What happened, Kate's a trans. But, just talking about.
I don't think we have time tonight.
No, here, okay, yeah, it's on for the time.
Yeah.
I'm stuck on 1 minute.
Yeah, we're having a sidebar.
shows.
Hey, Brandy.
All right, time to go.
Yeah, Mayor, can we?
Yeah.
Well, I was hoping to bring this up, but got it. We ended.
Okay, we back on, just a second. Hold on. Well, we're good. All right, yes. Go ahead, Noah.
Yeah.
You take a 3-minute break off the screen.
So I want to bring this to the council. So part of this budget amendment would include COLAs for non-represented employees. We will, of course, adjust the salary table per contracts with guild members. And then non-reps are currently in negotiations, so those would not be adjusted this time. And it would also be the first time that, I didn't get the seats wrong, but council member seats 2, 3, 4, I think at large, be adjusted per COLA per resolution that we adopted 3 years ago. Right? I think that may not, but this would be the first time that this council pay would be adjusted as well. So I just want to mention that, and I might check in with you, see if you're
How
supportive.
often does the mayor get a COLA or?
Same time as all the, so we
You're in.
offer, so we offer all the non-exempt employees the same COLA that the Teamsters Union gets. And then really how that, I view that is,
Well, I should modify that. Again, Teamsters are negotiations right now.
no, they're not. The
Yeah.
guild is,
No, Teamsters are.
no, they are not.
Guilds are the police officers.
The guild and the team.
Yes, match.
It's like watching mom and dad. Is it the Teamsters?
It's like mom and dad.
Correct.
No,
Okay,
There's a there's a group negotiating.
we have a new union, he is, you know what, he is correct. Yeah, we've got some things going on there.
So traditionally, we would adjust the non-reps based on CPI, which is 2.7%. Starting first payroll cycle of 2026. So that is included in this, assuming you're supportive of our statement.
So it's 2.75.
2.7.
So the answer to that question is, he is taking.
He is a non-representative.
Yes, so I'm part of that board.
And I'm hearing you, the next council will also see about.
Not all council members, just
Just those up.
a certain thing. 2, 3, 4, and at large. Don't quote me on that. It'll be in the ordinance.
And there could be potential. There's just a difference
Well,
because
then-
there's different seats.
Yeah, but that triggers, yeah. the
So
cycle.
I'll bring back the resolution, so everybody can have that. So we're just gonna follow the resolution.
Need to make sure.
All right, thank you for that clarification, Noah. All right, Josh Johnson here. Okay,
But we are different.
okay, so Josh Johnson is here.
Wherever.
Gentlemen, I need your attention. Josh Johnson is here. We gotta get moving here. We got a lot still to cover tonight. Josh is our contract, PIO. Also, his firm was awarded a contract with lodging tax dollars to do, a body of work related to marketing our city for FIFA and preparing our city for FIFA. So this is the culmination of that body of work. And, Josh, take it away.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me here. So just I'll go through a few numbers. Some of this is review for some people, maybe it's new for some others. So FIFA's coming, the first match, FIFA World Cup is coming. The first match is June 15th, 2026. FIFA is the largest event on the planet, FIFA World Cup. It has an estimated 5 billion viewers on television, and there's an estimated 450,000 to upward estimates of 750,000 visitors that will be coming to the Seattle metro area in June and July. The matches are from June 15th to July 6th. So my first part of the presentation here, just before I got into kind of marketing and some of the things that the mayor's touched on, beautification and things like that, it was really kind of wrapping our heads around what the numbers could be. We don't know how many people are going to show Orchard. I'm on the county level. I've been meeting with Commissioner Walters, and we have a coalition that's doing the Bremerton fan zone planning, and like nobody knows what it actually is going to look like, feet on the ground, but we can run some rough estimates here. So that was kind of my first slide, is just looking at using best available data, using tourism numbers in the past, what we think we're going to derive from the Seattle market, it's estimated that all rooms will be booked, all short-term vacation rentals will be booked. And so really, the goal, I think the booking the accommodations is kind of gonna happen on its own. But the goal is to get retain as much time and money in Port Orchard, in South Kitsap as possible from day trippers, but also people here that are booking Airbnbs and our small number of hotels, getting them to spend as much time as possible here. And a lot of these people will be international visitors. So Kitsap County's projected to capture about 7 to 10% of these metro visitors, which could be anywhere between 50 and 75,000 people over June and July. That's a lot of people on the ferry. That's a lot of people coming to farmers markets and events and exploring our waterfronts. And these will be all regional people, but a lot of international visitors as well. If we kind of look at Port Orchard capturing a population equivalent share, again, we don't know, but I kind of estimated we're looking at 3, 4, perhaps 5,000 visitors to our city, additional to what we already see in summer months. So I kind of broke down some conservative estimates for what this visitor spending is going to look like. And this all totals on the next slide, where if we're looking at ranges on the county side and on the Port Orchard side, we're looking at hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars flowing into our local communities and our economy. So really, it's how to maximize that, how to capture as many day trippers, visitors, and bookings as possible. The average length of time that an international visitor spends in a FIFA World Cup host city is 9 days. That's a long time, and the average amount of games attended is 1. So that's a long time. You can only get, if you're going to a Seattle match, you can only go to Pike Place Market and Space Needle so many times. I think we're going to see I think we're going to have a lot of overflow, but with the proper welcome and marketing tactics and kind of putting our best foot forward, I think we have opportunity to bring a boon to small businesses and the waterfront community especially. But I think also local events and farmers markets are going to see an uptick in visitors. So here's a look at some of the Seattle matches. Here are the dates, June 15th through July 6th. We don't know what countries are playing yet. There are dozens of countries represented in FIFA World Cup. We will know on December 5th what countries will be playing in Seattle. The only thing we know for sure right now is that on June 19th, the US men's team will be playing, which is huge. We expect this to be the biggest game for our region. So we'll know exactly December 5th who's going to be playing Seattle, and that's important. If, when I'm thinking on a county level, putting on my other hat, working with the county, it's important to know, like, well, what languages am I translating web pages into? What cultural norms are to be expected from some countries? How can we best welcome and accommodate, and what could potentially be exciting attractions for people in different areas? So I kind of overlaid the FIFA World Cup schedule on the next slide with the typical Port Orchard waterfront schedule. And I'm going to mention the waterfront and focus on the waterfront quite a bit, because that is the area, not to take anything away from other parts of the city, where people will surely be staying and exploring, but from a tourist, traveler, visitor point of view, I think all data points to the ferry connected waterfront being the main attraction. Not to say that people won't go other places, but I overlaid this. What's that? Like going to Lowe's, exactly. Which I do frequently. I kind of just overlay this just so we can see the FIFA events are in blue. We can kind of see how what we already do and what we already do well is sandwiching all of these FIFA events. And there is no FIFA match on the weekend. So we're seeing here an opportunity to really put our best foot forward with things like Fathoms of Fun, Farmers Market, night markets, and the events that are already happening. Making sure that the international visitors know that Port Orchard has the oldest farmers market on the Kitsap Peninsula, and you can ride 2 ferries to get here and have this experience that really is an iconic experience. In a former role, I spent a lot of time traveling internationally. I traveled to 24 countries, worked with 75 travel and tourism brands to do tourism marketing and run these campaigns. And everywhere I went around the world, everybody knew about Seattle and the Pacific Northwest, the iconic ferry ride. What they don't know, when I say, where are you from? I said Port Orchard, they scratch their head. If I said I was, born in Bremerton and I grew up in Burley and I live in Port Orchard, they would have no idea. But if I say I'm a ferry ride away from Seattle, everybody in the world basically knew what that was, and they had an image in their mind, and it was an overwhelmingly positive brand image. So our goal for the marketing is to, what is on the other side of that ferry ride to Seattle, that iconic ferry ride towards the mountains? Most people, most international people that I've met, and a lot of people from America, think that Seattle's on the ocean. So they don't know, and then they go, oh, what's that? There's an island. I go, that's not an island, that's the peninsula. And then there's another peninsula. So really the crux of the marketing, I don't want to get ahead of myself too much, but the crux of my marketing is, the question is, well, what's on the other side of that iconic ferry ride? This year, if you saw any of the numbers that Washington State Ferry put out, it was a record-breaking summer. I mean, it's mind-boggling how many people ride the ferries. The answer to the question that they may not be asking is, what am I going to do on the other side? Well, you're going to come. I'm going to break this down. I know this is a long meeting, so I will try not to be as verbose as I usually am. So I'm going to move quickly through basically three categories here. On the next slide, marketing. How are we going to reach people? No, you're good. What's that?
Another slide.
With all that was attached to it. Another presentation?
Yeah, there's a lot more. Do you,
EBT.
You packet have this.
Okay.
oh,
Yeah.
right. I can kind of tee this up a little bit. There's basically three. When I was looking at kind of the holistic FIFA, thinking about Port Orchard, it's how do we market from a using all the tools available, digital marketing point of view, traditional advertising, you name it. Also, what are the waterfront experiences and activities? There we go, perfect. She's fast. Thank you.
That wasn't me, that was somebody else.
Good, okay, great, thanks.
Can't claim it.
Waterfront experiences and activities and increased amenities and infrastructure. So I'll just dive right into the marketing strategy. And stop me if you have any questions or if you want to chime in at all.
Just tell me when you want to.
Oh, okay, great, perfect. Here are my recommendations for marketing activities. On the county level, my team's put together a website. For the last year, we received $115,000-ish to create a website and a brand for the county. And that is Stay Kids at 26. We've done a quiet launch. We're now on the website. We haven't promoted it at all, but the infrastructure's up. It will, pending LTAC resources that we get this coming fall. We will put a lot more meat on the bones, and we will have a very county-wide, robust marketing agenda that will be targeting Lumen Field, Seattle Center, but also other markets in the area, BC, SeaTac, making sure that we don't leave anything on the table. And, really, you turn pennies into dollars when we start to think about the marketing spend versus the capture that we can bring over for visitors and what that means for our local economy. So the first thing I recommended is, so Stay Kids at 26 is up and live. It's gaining SEO momentum. It is a tailor-made website capturing FIFA audiences, and it's also the de facto website for the Bremerton fan zone. So this is everything from itineraries to how to get here, but also fan zone schedules. And we have a tremendous team that put this website together, who is just geniuses for SEO and user experience. So this is live. The first thing I recommend, and this is with matching funds, is for each community, we are offering an additional spend. So it's live, it's happening. Orchard will be represented there very well. But the additional spend is more, the time it takes to create more itineraries, more experience profiles, and also custom branding for the city. see here, we have a state, John, if you go to the next slide. Thank you.
Just make it beeps.
Yeah, there you go, perfect.
Make it beeps.
Yeah. That KidSat 2026, a part of that branding pack, part of that $6,000 would be custom logo for Port Orchard as well, and an increased presence on that countywide website. That is the brand logo that we came up with. That is kind of, if anybody knows soccer, it's to mirror the visual language of a soccer team's badge. Each team has a kind of a logo badge. And so we created something for KidSat to kind of represent the whole county.
Super cool.
But yeah, so think stickers, banners, print material. And the website looks really slick as well. So the city specific branding is something we're gonna offer. Social media ads. I think that and really, you know, hung $15,000. I know that there is a Port Orchard LTAC, it's a limited amount of money, and there are a lot of obviously very worthy non-FIFA organizations that ask for money and rely on money. So I'm very mindful, because the social media, the digital marketing ads, that number could be $150,000. I mean, some cities are spending, I mean, it's amazing. There is no limit to what you can spend and the ROI that you can capture with targeted, geo-targeted ads, whether it's Facebook and Instagram or YouTube or things like OTT, where it's actually on people's, when they're streaming on their favorite streaming service, those ads that come up. I mean, if anybody pays for Netflix and HBO and Disney now, you're getting ads whether you like it or not. You can buy into those services as well. There is no limit to what we spend, but I try to put a very conservative spend on there from May to mid-August to really and do targeted messaging, multiple ads that target different demographics in different places and during different times of the soccer season. So we're going to be talking about the weekends heavily, drawing people away with this idea of this is the idyllic Pacific Northwest small town that you've always heard about. Come and experience it away from the madness. Seattle's going to be crazy, and people are going to love that craziness, but they're not going to want it the whole time. They're going to want an oasis and escape. So those ads are going to be custom made to kind of tell that story.
And Josh is concerned about our other nonprofits that typically reside in that traditional $100,000 that we put out in lodging tax funds. A budget that we talked about earlier adds $35,000 from fund balance to fund potentially fund these type of activities, specifically with FIFA, and not impact the traditional requests that we've had in the past.
Your scope is really bigger than Port Orchard. It's really the Bremerton Town Zone. So are you able to apply to the Bremerton LTAC and the Kitsap County LTAC too?
These requests are specific to us and marketing Port Orchard.
Yes.
There's another body of work happening for the Bremerton Fan Zone in
Yeah.
Kitsap
Can
County.
you do those two?
Yeah, we're applying to every city. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We're supporting the county, and then we're offering tailored support to
Okay.
each city.
Okay.
So they're only able to come here, obviously, on foot.
Very good.
Drive.
Well, I mean, not walk on the water, you know what I'm saying? So of course, but, so, so they're gonna come over here on the ferry and then on the transit ferry. How many people do you think, I just ballpark low, like a low number, 2,000 people?
I mean, I think there's gonna be a big mix. I think the people that travel for FIFA spend a lot of money to do this, right? So I think there's gonna be a lot of rental car visitors as well. People that are gonna be driving on
So
the
right to Southworth.
Southworth, or driving around, coming to
Drive around.
And
Bremerton.
we'll have the road will be worked on out here, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be real
Yeah,
about it.
we'll have a detour, but.
For sure, for sure.
But Jake, I wasn't gonna go here, Jake wanted to bring it up. We had a presentation this morning on what transit's doing and the additional service that the fast ferries are gonna put on. And it's to Bremerton, and also sailings till midnight, from Port Orchard to Bremerton. So we're really gearing this to get people here without their car. And then also funding, take our ride home service. We're gonna have buses down, at least a bus here and two in Bremerton for those late night ferries. We aren't about picking people up, but we want to get people from the ferry dock to their hotel, to their bed and breakfast, or wherever they're staying. And so anywhere that our bus service runs, we're gonna give them a ride from our waterfront.
We as far as kids have.
Me as far as, I'm sorry.
No, we are transit, you're on the
Yeah.
board. I mean,
Yeah.
so, Yeah, right.
Yeah, so that was a
That's
presentation we got
idea.
this morning, what that looks like and what what it's gonna cost. And we've got it's part of our budget process, because it's not inexpensive. It's about $300,000.
Yeah, I was talking to the superintendent because, well, for the future, with everything going down, I said, where can we, to get a shuttle for just the waterfront? And, the superintendent, as I said, hey, what about the high school, or what about EPO? And EPO could be where you park free and have a shuttle where you just go down, go down.
I don't think we need to do the schools, because we've got park and ride lots.
Yeah, but that's just a central, you don't, well, wherever.
And they're on the transit route.
But it's just it's just along the waterfront and then back. You're just down by the waterfront and you park there. And this is for our community. This isn't just for FIFA. This is for future for our community with parking. And so,
So let's reel this back in and get back on this.
No, but I'm just saying that's
Maybe about
another
10
good way to go.
Yeah, you got about 10 more minutes here for this.
Okay,
And more. Come on.
okay, our analytics customer data forecasting, this is something that we are proposing. This is a product that is bleeding edge technology. Instead of it's very difficult when you ask, especially using LTAC as an example, it's very difficult to gauge who came from what, how many heads you put in beds, and then organizations are asking for money, but they are asked to provide data that they simply can't have access to and don't know. There's a product called Zartico. We're hoping to engage this on a county-wide level. And this is about a $70,000 a year product. So this $5,000 that we're suggesting for Port Orchard is an additional spend to get. So our hope is that we get the resources from the county, so this tool will be available to all stakeholders and all municipalities. And really, it's gonna be able to ping people from where they came from, who they are, where their credit card was pinged. I won't be able to see their name and address, but I'll be able to see them skipping like a stone from SeaTac to Seattle, to Bremerton, to Port Orchard, how long they were there. And so, it's kind of spooky technology, but it exists, it's legal, let's use it. And this way we can get real analytics and data around the traveler journey and the traveler destination. Now, it might be a little skewed for next summer because it's going to look different, but this is something that is going to be huge, and it'll really help for any organization that has access to this data, which will really be any stakeholder that wants it. This $5,000 is the additional cost they charge, and this would allow us to put as many people in Port Orchard as a user for this software as they want. So this could be people on PAWA. It's like, you get your own login, you get to go in there and you get to see all this data. This could be chamber, this could be city members, this could be any number of organizations that get trained by this software data development company. I think it's really important. We've been relying on very low tech, unreliable data to understand who's staying where and how long they're staying, what that customer journey is. I think it's kind of time to turn that corner with some technology. Real quick, oh, you already scrolled down, thank you. Ad creation management, we need to make the ads that we're running. I priced out Ferry Terminal digital, they call this digital domination for 4 weeks. And I want to see Port Orchard ads running in the Seattle Ferry Terminal. So when these record-breaking number, we had a record-breaking number for Seattle to Bremerton last summer. Wait till we get to next summer. I want the people standing in line that don't know they're going to go to Port Orchard to discover they're going to go to Port Orchard, because a lot of these people are going to go to Bremerton without much of a plan. They'll do a little bit of research, but I want to hit them with the ads. I want them to go to State Kitsap 26, see the ferry connected communities, and then when they're in the ferry terminal, the Coleman Dock, I want them to see digital video display ads that are gonna rotate through when they're waiting for that ferry, and that ferry terminal is gonna be packed. So it's kind of that customer journey, hitting them at multiple points, trying to drive them to our waterfront. All right, events and activities and experiences. Aside from the digital marketing, kind of the straight up media, when people get here, what are they encountering? So I have been knocking this idea around my head ever since I saw the image on the right are the metal herons by DFP near the footbridge. They're
At
not
Turner Park.
at Turner Park. They're really nondescript. They're really beautiful, but they're kind of a one-off. So I thought, when we think about what we can do that's easy, quick, and easy to implement, I thought, let's create a sea life sculpture scavenger hunt that creates permanent public art along the walking path from downtown Port Orchard and beyond. It's really something that we can bill as this family friendly event. These are all Salish sea life sculptures that are locally fabricated. Not that much money to create a distressed steel orca and put it, and then anchor it in some concrete and put it in the ground. And this would something that we would. Again, I appreciate Council Member Warden's comment about kind of why aren't we doing this for the rest of our community? When I was thinking about these things, this is exactly the kind of thing that I want to see on more public art, and using FIFA as like a springboard, more public art in our community, because it really engenders a sense of place. It helps with our branding. It builds morale, and there's actually a lot of studies around the increase in public art and increase in lighting is some of the best things you can do for safety in city corridors.
Just real quickly, if anybody has traveled out to Astoria or west, I think it's Raymond, but I'm not 100% sure of the city. They have a tremendous number of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The static displays of metal, of elk. Yeah, you've seen them, and they draw you to it, and they really brighten up the community. So.
Yeah,
100%.
I think
We
that
should remember what the city was. I think it's
I
Raymond.
know it's a time crunch, but Clear Creek Trail and Silverdale on their bridges, all that, the pathways, they have art welded on, same thing, really nice. They did it all in-house. It's super nice. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, and I'd love to see
But
this.
Same thing.
It low hanging fruit, very affordable.
Yes.
And I'd love to see this be something that we start to think about how we can incorporate these type of experiences for the locals as well. And the visitors are gonna experience it, but really it's like, I take my kids to Spinny Park all the time. We walk that path all the time. People are gonna these are the little things that I think citizens are really appreciate. Tourism Trifold, creating a Port Orchard passport. And I don't think I'll have time in this presentation. I'll send this deck to everybody. Further on in this presentation, I really unpack the contents of this trifold that I'm suggesting that we create, but really it does a lot of heavy lifting with walking maps, with a passport where you can maybe go around to local businesses. And this is something we partner with the Chamber of Paua to manifest, where you go around, you collect stamps, and maybe there's a prize or something at the end, a Port Orchard sticker or an enamel pin or something like that. You can claim at Josephine's at the farmer's market or something like that. But a trifold that we can stage at various businesses and at the farmer's market that says, hey, here's the Sea Life scavenger hunt, and here's the Port Orchard passport. Go to these businesses to get a stamp, and here's the walking map, and here's various points of interest and transit routes and whatnot. Okay. Amenities and infrastructure. This really came from my brainstorming and speaking with people like Sam Smith, where I just said, events, Paua, night market, what are the things? And Mayor already touched on it significantly. She said, just simple things, like seating, like more trash cans. And I know we have another restroom coming online. It was like another restroom. So those are the simple things. It wasn't some big blowout request for, night market needs a 20-foot stage. It was like, people they don't have a place to sit. So increasing, I noticed, I took a photo of those concrete pads in the boulevard between the parking lot and the marina.
I think only one of them is conducive to an extra bench.
Okay.
Because the way they're anchored and secured in there, but there are all kinds of opportunities.
Yeah.
And let Josh go here a little, because these murals are really, really cool. Josh gives gave us like a 1 hour presentation of branding and go way deeper into this at ED Tourism. So I encourage those that aren't on ED Tourism to go see this video and the branding piece that we didn't bring forward tonight.
Yeah, I can send that as well. If you can pull that up just a little bit, so let's see the banners a little bit. Thank you. Again, public art murals. I took a photo of, this is the mural that you're seeing of the Carlisle there, doesn't exist. That's a mock-up. That's a big blank piece of concrete canvas. And so when we think about the visitors coming for FIFA, but also thinking about our sense of place, public art is, I'm a huge fan of it. Maybe it's because I'm the president of a nonprofit theater and I love to see this stuff, but I think invoking a sense of place, evoking our maritime heritage, invoking that Port Orchard Waterfront has the best sunset in the county. I'll stand on that. And doing these things. So what I did is I showed 3 different mock-ups of 3 different types of public art that I can potentially see. One is a full-scale mural. The other is something like a hand painted on some utility boxes, which I know are the ports, right? So things like, how can we beautify the utility boxes down on the waterfront? Low-hanging fruit, waterproof paint, local artists coming in, perhaps donating their time. Getting donations of paint would be very easy to do, but it's also not a huge amount of materials. And the third image I have is kind of a temporary structure where we have a wooden thing that's almost like something you stand and you take a picture next to, photo wall for Instagram, like come kick it Port Orchard. It's very FIFA specific. Down below, I was walking the waterfront thinking about all these things, and the images you see are part of the branding packet that I put together. I created a new logo stamp, not a new logo for Port Orchard, but an alternate logo stamp that gives us another option, and with the tag anchored in community. So I imagined we have all of these.
And those light fixtures are Port of Bremerton assets, but Gary Anderson's at the meeting.
Yeah.
And we put a plug in, hey Gary, can you get some money in your budget too, so we can partner with you, because this is what we'd like to see on the water.
I was gonna ask you, I think there's a way we can get that, let's say that earlier, get that ship, can we reserve that to be here during that time?
Oh, Lady Washington.
If they're a week at a time, and my
Yeah.
family, California, they plan on coming here last year, during that time for the little kid.
That's a Port of Bremerton, yeah, we can ask them about that, whether, yeah, they visit here, whether or not they're gonna come.
Maybe we can work around it, cause there's a lot of visitors.
And they've been, they're under restoration right now. I did message with them. They are out of Grace Harbor, and they told me to check back in about a month for their schedule.
Okay, and I hate to advertise it and not be here, but it's pretty cool, man.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would love it if she moored there year round, because it adds so much to the waterfront, so much to our,
That mural.
I went on it last year.
The sunset.
so those
we could pull
banners.
that off and be phenomenal.
Yeah, so yeah, and I really like the idea of those banners. Those light poles are just sitting there. How can we brand it out? How can we create a sense of place, so when people get here, it feels welcoming, it feels vibrant, it feels bright? I want to scroll up just a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
we passed the anchored Port Orchard.
Yeah, so this is just a tiny amount. So I put together I don't know how many pages, 15-page brand guide. So the first thing I did before I got into lampposts and digital marketing campaigns was I put together a brand guide. Which has a great logo, and I like our colors, but this really dives into creating a full-fledged destination brand identity that we can use in print and digital, but also use as a springboard for physical items like the lamppost, signage, waymaking.
And Josh, I've really gotta cut you off.
You gotta cut me off. And
Because we got
that's-
40 more minutes.
that's my
of
spiel.
material from Nick.
I'll send this to everybody.
Hey guys, question. Years ago, we had a very well author, Debbie May Conlon, and she wrote books about Port Orchard essentially with a different name. Cedar Cove.
The code.
Have you guys thought about using Cedar Cove and marketing, because those books were world known, and that may also help it will bring people here interested in seeing where those books really were.
I think that should be an auxiliary piece of the Port Orchard narrative. I don't think it should be necessarily a core piece of the destination brand identity, but I think that you're absolutely right. Like that is a feather in our cap and I'd love to see more tourism around that.
But we don't really have anything to show for it, really.
Right, right.
All right, Nick, unfortunately, Nick's presentations are
Oh.
critical, and thank you, Josh.
Thank you, John.
Thanks. Watch the ED tourism video. Josh doesn't need
An education on the budget.
It's different than what you know,
Yeah, all right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
It's
Josh.
like anchored, Port Orchard anchored in.
Thank you. Thanks, Josh.
Okay.
Jim's coming up here, music.
Yeah.
We do it first, critical areas first, Jim?
So the mandates that came from Olympia,
So
we're still adopting code, and
Jim is a
these
big boy.
presentations are related to that code that needs to bring forward by the end, before the end of the year, correct?
Yeah, correct. So, before the city council is the 2025 critical areas code. This is a mandate under the Growth Management Act. It is not new. It has to be updated every time we touch our comprehensive plan. And so Jim has been spearheading this project. The legislature gave all cities in our, comp planning year, an extra year to complete this. Normally, we would have had to have this done last December. We have until the end of this year. Otherwise, we will be out of compliance with the Growth Management Act. And so this has just been through the Planning Commission and has the Planning Commission's recommendation. And Jim's going to walk you through just high level what's in the critical areas code ordinance. And then this will be coming to the city council for adoption, I think in November, right, Jim?
Correct. We can go to the next slide because you've just captured everything on the slide. So this update's designed to align with the 2024 comprehensive plan periodic update and ensure we're in full compliance with GMA. We're also integrating best available science into the code, and this is important to protecting critical areas and public safety. Ultimately, this effort is about balancing responsible development with environmental stewardship. So on the next slide, the revised Code of Washington identifies critical areas as wetlands, aquifer recharge areas, fish and wildlife habitat conservation areas, frequently flooded areas, and geologically hazardous areas. This is just a screenshot from the county's parcel viewer. They kind of map all the critical areas in the county. So these are the areas we're aiming to protect through these regulations. The next slide, here's a quick look at the Plan Commission's review process. Staff presentations took place in December, January, February, and July. Also, you may recall that the CAO amendments were discussed at the January 21 work study meeting. In February, we introduced the initial comment matrix. In between this time, March and June, staff used that time to update the draft ordinance to address comments received by the Planning Commission, Department of Fish and Wildlife, and other agencies. And by July, the matrix was updated, though most items remained unchanged from its initial introduction. And that brings us to October 7th, where the commission held a public hearing and forwarded their recommendation to the city council. This timeline, we think, reflects a thorough and transparent review process. Comment matrix. Comment matrix has been a tool in tracking public input and staff responses. It was color coded for clarity. Green meant the comment was incorporated. Yellow indicated it was under discussion, and red means it was not incorporated. This matrix has been included in every planning commission packet since its creation and was included in your work study materials tonight. This approach allowed for identifying tracking issues in a transparent and efficient manner. So this is kind of small text, but this is really the bulk of what happens in this code amendment. First, we are introducing verification process. It's UMC 20.162.021. This allows for critical areas review outside of a formal development application. It's especially useful for feasibility studies and early site planning. It's a service the city will provide to help property owners and developers understand site conditions, but the city will not prepare reports on their behalf. Second, we've reorganized the code to make it more user-friendly. We've updated wetland buffer standards to manage Department of Ecology guidance and emphasize mitigation banking and programmatic solutions. Third, we're replacing stream buffer terminology with riparian management zones or RMZs. These standards now meet or exceed the Department of Fish and Wildlife minimums, which improves habitat protection. These changes improve predictability for applicants while maintaining flexibility and strengthening environmental protections. From a policy, now, this is what everybody really wants to see. This, very small, but this is from our current code. These are the wetland buffers, the size of them. Right now, there's 4 categories, and then each of those categories, when we go out and do the review, receives a score. So right now, you can see there's a score 3 to 4. Well, you may be able to see it. Score 3 to 4, score 5, score 6 to 7, score 8 through 9, and then the corresponding buffer width kind of falls below that. So if we go to the next slide, this is what is proposed. So you can see that the highlighted green, that score 3, 5, those scoring categories from the previous, there've been 2 that have been combined. And so there's still the scoring and all of that, except that the categorization score of them has kind of been consolidated. So everything you see in black is remaining unchanged. What you see in red is actually a decrease in the buffer widths. That's consistent with the ecology guidance, and we've not received any comments that would make us want to increase those buffer widths. If we go to the next slide, this, yes, sir.
Score 5 on the previous, went to 140. Went from 140 to 100, and you're not showing that as change.
Well, the reason why I do that here is because those categories have been combined.
Yeah.
Right, the scoring, right, so they put 5.
Has been,
Yes.
but has changed.
Yeah, I suppose you could say that has a very nuanced change, yes. So that's what you're seeing there. This is our current stream buffers. Fish bearing, type F, the NP and NS, you'll see that it's 150 feet, 50 and 50. There's a minimum building setback 15 feet beyond that buffer. That's in our current code right now. In the proposed, you'll see that there's an increase in the NP and NS streams. On the next slide, this next table though does not have that building impervious setback 15 feet. That's actually been incorporated into the text above this table, so that 15 feet still exists. Although those 2 stream types, the buffer is increased by 50 feet. So that's kind of the big changes as far as buffers.
Have the builders been paying attention and have they like pushed back?
Nice check.
I have to assume the builders are paying attention.
Yeah.
And I've not heard anything from them.
I mean, maybe they can't push back. They don't seem to like buffers, but.
Yeah, I think they're more focused on the county's regulations than the cities. I think, for whatever reason, when cities present this information, there's not a lot of comment. When the county does it, they tend to comment more. But
How many
they are
are being driven by ecology?
that's available science. So either we have to rely on the state science that they produce, or we have to go create our own science, which we are too small and don't have the funding to do that sort of thing. So, and fortunately, one of the things that some of the state agencies were recommending, the county, it has to do with tree height buffers and basically making your buffer correspond to the height of the trees at maturity that would be within that buffer. And so if you have Doug firs that grow to 200 feet, it says that you have a 200-foot buffer. The county chose not to follow that guidance. They were appealed, and that part of the appeal, they survived. So we have followed the county's approach there and feel pretty good about where we're at.
Now, is this the one that we're talking about for the critical area code?
Yes.
Okay, so this is actually has to do with our Management Growth Act.
Yes. Yes.
And I noticed too, when I was reading up on it, we don't have a height variance. And that's we could put that in there. So someone down on the waterfront or wherever can't take your height away.
This is the critical areas code, not the zoning code.
Yeah.
So this is required by the Growth Management Act, but it's a specific set of guidelines that we are required to adopt related to environmental protection.
Right, like, yeah, streams and all that kind of stuff, but I thought that height was in on this.
That's not part of the critical areas. This is chapter 162 of our municipal code, which is only critical areas.
Separate conversation.
Height limits are in a totally different chapter of code.
Okay, because when I was when I was reading it, or looking it up, it was part of that too, with streams and all that kind of stuff, so, okay. If that's something different, because I think that should be, zoned within our city.
You raise a good point, because I think the waterfront is not a critical area if we see the whole map.
There are some around Blackjack, there's some wetlands. In fact, down here.
429 Bay Street had a little estuary.
Yeah, and even there's a wetland that is on the north side of Bay Street there that they had to account for. So they do exist even just there on the beach.
We're going down a rabbit hole.
Okay, so moving on the environmental review side, the city issued a determination of non-significance on September 12th. Was not appealed. We received one comment from the Department of Natural Resources, which led to the addition of a definition for geologist. Proposed amendments were transmitted to the Department of Commerce on the same day for their 60-day review. That review ends on November 11th. So council adoption can occur after that review period concludes. Well, I got ahead, I guess. So, following the October 7th public hearing, the planning commission forwarded their recommendation. Legal black line version of the ordinance is included in your packet and incorporated into the adopting ordinance. Tentatively, we are looking at council action on November 18th, pending Commerce's review. So.
Questions? Yeah. Fellows, do you guys tracking, planning commissioner comments?
We do, so
That's what I would be interested in, specifically Commissioner Wright's comments.
He writes the most.
Well, I'm sure he does write the most, I know. Was it in there and I missed it? Okay. I'm just looking at right now at this presentation, so okay. It is in there? Okay.
He does. In fact, at the hearing, he made one more suggestion, which was.
This was in the line of work that I believe he did.
Yep.
Prior to, but I want to make sure I review that before the 18th, so.
He's been
Thank you.
really active in that.
I didn't. Okay, I didn't go in depth on this part because I saw within the presentation. All right, we're gonna jump on to the next
Clarification, thanks for giving us back about 5 minutes there. Good work.
Keep going so we don't have to extend the meeting.
So now we're gonna jump into the co-living housing.
So we're presenting an overview of House Bill 1998 and what it means for our local implementation of co-living housing. We'll walk through the required amendments, the Port Orchard Municipal Code, the review process, and some considerations as we move toward it. So let's start with the basics. Co-living refers to a housing model where individual sleeping units are rented separately. Each unit is lockable and includes private living and sleeping space, while kitchen facilities are shared among residents. It's intended to be a lower cost rental option for moderate to low income individuals without relying on public subsidies. This model may be attractive to single person households, seniors, and those seeking affordable, socially engaging living arrangements. So you can see an example, a local example is the Amici House here. They're at DeKalb and Harrison.
What category do we put senior living facilities in now?
So there's two different things. There's congregate care facilities and then there's congregate living. And so
Thank you.
one of the additions to 2012 is to actually define what a congregate care facility is, and we've taken that from the standard industrial classification. So it kind of resolves the difference there.
It's kind of interesting out in the Amici House, when because that was a church, and then they turned it into low income for young adults. But for them to put that to code and make that up, that was not cheap for them. And then the hookup for the water and sewer, $200,000. So that was not a cheap, an inexpensive, very affordable for the builder, even to build that.
There's building code does present some challenges. But, you've kind of touched on the next slide though. So, 1998, House Bill 1998. Is part of Washington's effort to expand housing choices, tackle affordability challenges. Co-living increases supply without requiring new subsidies or large-scale developments. It also encourages adaptive reuse, such as the Amici House on DeKalb and Harrison. Co-living can also reduce pressure on family size and subsidized units. The law requires cities to remove regulatory barriers in areas where multifamily housing is already allowed, specifically where 6 or more units are permitted. So co-living must be allowed on any lot that permits 6 or more multifamily units, including mixed-use zones. Local regulations can't impose stricter standards than state building code when it comes to room sizes or unit layouts. Parking requirements are also relaxed. If the site is within half a mile of a major transit stop, no off-street parking is required. Elsewhere, the cap is 0.25 spaces per sleeping unit. Importantly, co-living developments must be treated equitably. No conditional use permit is needed if multifamily is already a permitted use. One of the more technical aspects is how co-living units are counted. For density purposes, each sleeping unit is considered no more than 0.25 of a dwelling unit. For sewer connection fees, it's counted as no more than 0.5 dwelling units. To give you an example, in an R3 district, which allows 6 dwelling units, you could have up to 24 co-living sleeping units. This approach helps keep fees and density calculations proportional to the actual impact of these smaller units. To align with House Bill 1998, we're proposing several amendments to the municipal code. In POMC 2012, we define co-living and clarify the distinction between sleeping units and dwelling units. This helps prevent workarounds that could sidestep multifamily rules. In POMC 20.32, we clarify that apartments consist of 6 or more dwelling units. In 20.39, pardon me, we've consolidated boarding houses and dormitories into a new co-living category and clarified residential thresholds for mixed-use zones. Finally, in 20.124, we will include a new provision to treat sleeping units separately than dwelling units in the parking calculation. So we built in some policy guardrails to ensure code living doesn't become a loophole for avoiding multifamily standards. These amendments follow Department of Commerce guidance and maintain consistency with House Bill 1998. While we can't impose stricter limits on room size or configuration, we do retain the ability to apply reasonable local standards for design, health, and safety, so long as they don't conflict with state law. These guardrails are found in the definition of sleeping unit, whereas a proposed sleeping unit cannot be more than 300 square feet. It must include its own restroom and cannot include a kitchen, although a kitchenette is fine. And the difference between a kitchen and kitchenette, they're also defined in.
Sorry, must include a bathroom?
That's correct.
Each of these sleeping units has to have its own bathroom?
That is correct. They share a kitchen. They all have to have their own restroom. They cannot exceed 300 square feet.
Or,
But there's no minimum
There's no minimum size.
size.
No. Well,
In the building
in
code.
the building code there is.
now why does each bedroom have to have it? Is that what you're saying?
Each sleeping unit has to have its own bathroom
For co-living?
for co-living. Correct. So these are typically like a studio. I guess that's the closest you can really compare it to. It's essentially a room,
Little
a
apartment.
kitchenette, no kitchen.
Right,
And then it should have a bathroom is what we've required.
oh, yeah, I mean, yeah.
Otherwise,
I
they're
see
sharing
what
a
you're saying.
bathroom and share.
I thought you were like, co-living too, like you're in a house and you have all these bedrooms
Nope,
and then you got, yeah,
yeah, this only pertains to those small
the
units.
small units, okay, sorry.
So in this, and the small units, though we have their own bathroom, they only count for 0.25 connection fee.
They account for 0.5 per connection fee. And that's mandated in the bill.
How do you, so let's say you take a house, right, and you divide it. So, you know, you can rent one out and you rent out a studio. Now, how do they do a hookup? Don't you, when I was reading it up on it, it's like everyone can share the utilities and everyone shares, you know, that's they just divide stuff.
Can you rephrase your question? So,
Are you thinking about an existing house or a new house being
Yeah.
built?
An existing house.
In an existing house, it's probably an ADU that you're building, not a co-living unit. If you're converting a building to co-living, that's, the whole building is going to be co-living. And it's not gonna be like one person living in the house, in a house, and then they have a unit that's a sleeping unit.
Well, we'll take like college campuses. There are so many houses on college campus and about 4 or 5 people live in a house.
That's just a house. That's not co-living, that's just people sharing a house.
Okay.
So that's still up.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's totally separate.
Okay.
things.
Okay, that's-
Remember, setting out to have to be 6 or more.
6 or more, you have said,
Yeah,
at the
and,
beginning of this, so.
yeah, and this is a tool to create sleeping units. If you have a 4-bedroom house and 4 people wanna rent it and everybody takes a bedroom, that is a detached house as a land, so it's not co-living.
although your CCNRs may not allow that. Just saying.
If you have
Okay, so moving on to our review process. Commerce. Planning Commission has completed its initial review of the proposed amendments, which are included in your packet. SEPA issued a determination of non-significance on October 8th. We also transmitted these amendments to the Washington Department of Commerce for their required review. Today, we received one comment from Commerce related to the definition of a major transit stop. And that's all they had to say, otherwise we're good to go, as far as Commerce goes. And so what's ahead, the Planning Commission will hold a public hearing on November 4th to gather testimony and deliberate. They'll then forward a recommendation to the City Council. Tentatively, we're looking for council action on November 18th. The deadline to adopt these amendments is December 31st. So if we don't act by then, HB 1998 provisions will automatically override any conflicting local regulations. So timely adoption is important.
Questions for Jim?
I just have a comment, I have a question, and it really doesn't pertain to this, because I don't want to blow up your timeline. But I would like to revisit parking minimums as a whole, maybe not just as it relates to at some point in the future.
As an example of that, I brought that up in our land use meeting, I think it was, with the Michi House. You know, as an example of that, and so I was kind of concerned that they had a bunch of those kind of.
I just like to get rid of
Facilities.
parking.
And there was no issue with like Michi House, you know. as an
Yeah,
example.
and the kitty corner.
That's gonna be fine.
It's been talked.
Yeah.
Scott,
But it's not-
it's
it's not-
I'm sure.
We can definitely do that. The market really drives.
Agreed, that's why I think
We-
the
we've
market can tell us, we need to be telling
Yeah,
the
we've
market.
got, I think a half a stall.
Yeah.
Is our minimum, but the market, nobody builds that.
Agreed, that's my whole point, is I don't think we should have to tell.
So, all right. Thank you for sitting through a marathon tonight. Just so you're tracking what's coming before you, Noah's gonna do the property tax and the budget is the big items on the next agenda next week. Then we have no meeting on the 11th, the second Tuesday of November because it's Veterans Day. And so we're turning the work study on the 18th into a business meeting. That's why these guys were saying all of these code things are coming before you on the 18th. So we'll have our 2 business meetings, the 21st and the 28th in November. So the heavy lift is the budget, and then these guys have those code amendments. There's other things out there, but so thank you for your time tonight.
Thanks.
Is it? Zero in.